You're a rich girl, and you're gone too far, 'cause you know it don't matter anyway. You can rely on the old man's money. You can rely on the old man's money. It's a bitch, girl, but it's gone too far, 'cause you know it don't matter anyway. Say money, money won't get you too far, get you too far.
It is Hall and Oates to begin our show today, and did I ever go down a rabbit hole? But you see, when I go down a rabbit hole, I think that maybe you'd like to join me down there. That song, Rich Girl from 1977, was a number one for Hall and Oates on this day in 1977. It was the first number one for the duo Hall and Oates. And they have sold, according to this site, see, this is where the rabbit hole begins. According to the site where I go every day to find a piece of music to play for you. So on this day in 1977, Rich Girl goes number one on the U.S. singles chart. And the site where I get this information tells me that Hall & Oates have sold an estimated 40 million records, making them the third best-selling music duo of all time. And I thought to myself, third best. That sounds right from something that I had heard, a little piece of music trivia I had heard some time ago. But then I thought, well, let's find out who the top two are. And then as I went about this search, and granted, I was running out of time before the show, but several sites say that Hall & Oates were the best-selling, not the third best-selling. I have determined, with what I found this morning, based on record sales, that indeed Hall & Oates are the third best-selling music duo of all time. You want to take a guess? You want to go down that rabbit hole with me as to which music duos are the best-selling music duos of all time? I am happy to hear from you at any time. As you know, the minute we begin the show every day, our phone lines are open to you. And boy, oh boy, they're getting busy early. We're early busy today. I'm going to go right to the phones because Rick is already on the line. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, good morning, my friend. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Good.
I called yesterday, and we were talking about fuel prices.
Yeah, now they're back up again. It's the toilet seat effect.
Well, you know what? It's funny because the rack price, the toilet seat, went down. I checked this morning. At midnight, the rack price went down 4.7 cents a liter. Now, what is the fuel rack price? The fuel rack price is the wholesale cost of fuel charged by refiners or suppliers at the distribution terminal, often called the RAF. What's it used for? Example usage. A gas station owner checks the daily rack report to determine if they need to raise prices or lower prices. The rack went down 4.7%, my friend. What on earth is going on in the world?
Rick, we are getting hosed. It's that simple.
But if you would have a consumer group, like Consumers Reports in the old days when we were young, we used to get the magazine and we used to compare before we went to Shoppers or Consumers Distributing, before we bought our clock radio, we used to read the Consumers Report and find out exactly what was the best. If we had a consumer group like Enpro, the gas guru, wouldn't they be maybe monitoring something and saying, hey, gas station owners, the rack price went down. How come you're jacking it back up? Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow, buddy, but it's very frustrating.
I hear you.
I'm out here on the homestead, and I don't need any gasoline today. I picked up the cherry cans yesterday. They're all filled up on the cheaper price, and we're sitting out here, and if we ever do need gasoline for the, we got the cherry cans filled for the Jennies if we ever need that, but anyway, we're just going to work in the shed today all day.
All right, Rick. Well, you enjoy that work in the shed. Not a bad day to be in the shed. Mild enough outside, and when the rain comes, you've got the roof of the shed overhead. I have honestly resigned myself, and I don't mean to be defeatist, but I have resigned myself to the fact that I'm getting ripped off every time I go to the gas station, and there's not a darn thing I can do about it. Doug is also with us early this morning, right off the hop. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning, Mike. Yeah, it's Mr. Home Defense 212 coming to you again.
Farwell's Force member number 212. I like it.
Well, it's kind of appropriate with March Madness still going on, right?
There you go.
Anyway, certainly I like the toilet seat effect. You know, the problem is it's being run by guys, and most women will tell you guys keep leaving the seat up. So we're getting hosed. I wanted to talk to you about the Maple Leafs. So it just drives me up the wall. When they came out of the Olympic break and they started losing, I remember it was crawling all over the back. Lose. What's the matter? They made some changes. The guys working hard, and they're winning a few games. And now everybody's screaming because they want them to tank. And that just bothers me to no end. It's like, do you think these guys don't have any kind of self-respect as professional athletes? For heaven's sakes, why would they? The other thing is because tanking doesn't do you any good anymore. You finish last anymore. All you get is a slightly better odds of maybe winning the draft. It's not like you get the first draft pick anymore like you used to. So, I mean, it's like people get off their back. These guys are not just playing out the string. They've got a little bit of self-respect, and they spoiled on the Rangers last night, knocked them out of playoff contention. I'm proud of them. I think at least they're trying. You know what I mean?
Doug,
look forward to next year. But anyhow,
I hear you, and I appreciate the call, and I love that you're still supporting the team and saying that you're proud of them. I've never been a fan of this whole idea of tanking so that you can get a better draft pick in any sport. But I understand the sentiment from fans who are just beyond frustrated at this point. It's like you're not going anywhere in the playoffs. So why don't you just kind of go through the motions like it seems like you have been for 70 games already this year. Keep going through the motions, but don't try too hard and improve the chances, at least improve the odds of getting the first overall pick. Of course, last time the Leafs did that, got the first overall pick, was Mr. Austin Matthews. And I don't know that has transformed the organization the way that they had hoped. But Rick and Doug, thanks for being early birds. I love my 9 a.m.ers on this show. I love my 10, 11, and 12 o'clockers too. But you 9 a.m.ers are a special bunch who are here the minute we begin the show. Our phone lines are open immediately at 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715, as both Rick and Doug clearly are aware. And I'll just go back to that little rabbit hole I found myself traveling down this morning when I played Rich Girl by Hall & Oates, number one, and it was the first number one for Hall & Oates this day in 1977. And the list, or the site that I go to find this music every day, told me that Hall & Oates were the third best-selling music duo of all time. Several other sites insisted that they were number one, but, I think I have found the evidence to suggest the first site was correct. There are two music duos in history that have sold well beyond the 40 million albums that Hall & Oates have sold. So if you want to join me in the rabbit hole and we can talk about some music duos, which, by the way, is going to become an All Request Friday theme in the not too distant future. I can promise you that. We're going to have an All Request Friday theme of music duos, I think. But if you think which music duo might have outsold Hall & Oates, there are two of them, then by all means, take your best shot. We can talk a little bit of music trivia as we begin the show this morning. I just got an email as well from Ron, who writes to Mike at 570news.com. Since you wanted to go power ballads for All Request Friday this week, I had to really think about it. We already have more requests than we have room to play on the show tomorrow, so I've been keeping it on the down low because I don't want you to be disappointed making your request and you won't get to hear it. But I think I've come up with a hack. I don't know how much trouble it's going to get me into, but to heck with it. I'm ready to go for it. And if I get in trouble, see, it's always easier to ask forgiveness later, right? So if you've got a request for a power ballad this week, I'm still going to keep taking them, those requests for your favorite power ballad. We're trying to cleanse our palate from last week's All Request Friday when we played disco tunes, not my favorite genre. So we're going to go power ballads this week. And if you have not yet made a request and you want to get one in there, by all means, hit us with your best shot and we will see. I've got an idea that I think can play some more music on the show tomorrow. Whether I get in trouble for it or not, we're going to try it for as long as we can. So if there's a power ballad that you would like to hear during All Request Friday tomorrow, by all means, drop me an email, mike@570news.com, and we are going to do our very best using this new hack that I think might actually work. And we will play your power ballad during the show tomorrow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
To your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning. Number 1, Ontario's finance minister will unveil the province's budget today, which is not expected to have any tax increases. Peter Bethlenfalvy has signaled Ontarians must plan for tougher times ahead as U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war continues and global conflicts push strong headwinds against Ontario's economy. Ontario's deficit earlier this year stood at $13.4 billion, and its overall debt as of 2025 was $460 billion, though the net debt to GDP ratio continues to improve under Bethlenfalvy's watch. We will be talking more about the budget today, just after the 9:30 news, when we are joined by Ontario Green Party leader Mike Schreiner. Number 2, Iran and the United States seem to be at diplomatic odds. The warring sides issued conflicting statements today over the progress of efforts to end the more than 3 weeks of fighting, with Tehran putting forth its own proposals. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has said a deal is near, even after Tehran dismissed his plan that reportedly included reopening the Strait of Hormuz, where a fifth of the world's oil is normally shipped through. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Trillium United Church in Cambridge is hosting an information session tonight on our water woes. It takes place from 7 until 9. Guest speaker will be noted local environmentalist Kevin Thomason. So Trillium United Church in the Preston part of Cambridge hosting an information session tonight on our water woes here in the region. Number 4, the city of Guelph has officially walked its way into the national spotlight. Following the coldest night of the year event back on February the 28th, Guelph's campaign has secured the number 4 spot in the nation for funds raised, totaling more than $211,000. Waterloo's coldest night of the year event raised more than $102,000. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, the U18 AAA Waterloo Wolves have won the Alliance Championship, defeating the Elgin Middlesex Canucks. The Wolves won the series 7-5 and now advance to the TELUS Cup Central Region Championships, which take place next week in Markham. Now, should the Wolves win that tournament, they will advance to the National TELUS Cup Championships. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First up, the Central Region Championships. Congratulations to you, U18 AAA Waterloo Wolves, defeating the Elgin Middlesex Canucks and winning the Alliance Championship.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning. Let's quickly go back to the phones. Our buddy Preston Paul is with us. Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mike. You make me laugh with those. I love those little intros you do.
I'm here for you, buddy.
Yeah, I like the one. Can I get 2 liters of pop?
Can I get 2 layers of pop?
That's great. I would drink the pop or the beer, but it's funny as heck, I'll tell you. Got a couple of things. First,
yes.
The Leafs can't even lose, right, for crying out loud. They're saying that the top 5 picks are all good hockey players, and that's all we need is to get in the top 5, and all they're doing is screwing that right up.
So you would rather they tank, contrary to what Doug said earlier?
No, just put everybody in the press box and bring up the Marlies and let them see what they can do.
There you go. Listen, the Kitchener Rangers did that on Saturday, last game of the regular season. They rested 9 regulars, and the pups went out there and had themselves a night.
Yeah, and that experience is going to work wonders for them down the road. And another thing, I'm guessing that Simon and Garfunkel are going to be top on the duets.
Ding, 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 Mr. Preston Paul. You got it.
Right on.
That's one of the 2 duos. So there's still one more that sold more records than Hall & Oates. But Simon and Garfunkel, number 1. Well done, sir.
Sonny and Cher might be the second one.
Oh, a good guess. I didn't check their actual numbers, but no, I did not find them near the top.
Okie dokie.
Okay. Great to hear from you, Paul.
You too, Mike. Talk to you later, buddy.
Enjoy your day in Preston. My beloved and I went down there for dinner last night. Have you ever noticed? She's from Preston, you see. You can take the girl out of Preston, but we have our favorite restaurant there. Went to the Fiddle. Made me think of Paul from Preston. Not to be confused with Preston Paul, but our buddy, our late friend, Paul from Preston, a longtime listener and contributor to this show. He and I enjoyed the occasional beverage at the Fiddle, a mainstay on King Street in Preston. My beloved and I were there last night enjoying dinner. Great little spot to go to because, as I said, you can take the girl out of Preston. You just, can't take the Preston out of the girl. Let's see, how many records have Sonny and Cher sold? I'm going to see if we can come up with the answer to that one as we try to figure out that other duo along with Simon and Garfunkel that have outsold Hall & Oates. Yeah, Sonny and Cher right in around there with Hall & Oates at 40 million records, according to a quick Google. But there were 2 duos that far outsold Hall & Oates and Sonny and Cher. Simon and Garfunkel, one of them, with more than 100 million albums sold. What might be that other music duo that outsold Hall & Oates? The band that we used, the duo that started our show together today with Rich Girl. What was number 1 on this day back in 1977? It is your morning wake-up call coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. My email quarantine just informed me under the subject line, your 2026 pay bonus approval. That's exciting, a pay bonus. But it comes, the sender is something at yachts.com. I mean, if I'm getting a pay bonus and the email is coming from yachts.com, maybe I should tell the quarantine to let that sucker go, eh? Put that email into my inbox. I'm sure something coming from yachts.com telling me that I'm getting a pay bonus this year. It's got to be a good thing, right? Sandy sends me an email to Mike at 570news.com. Hall & Oates was one of the first big concerts I attended. I saw them at, wait for it, Maple Leaf Gardens. Oh, yeah, those were the days, Sandy. Those were the days. They were fantastic in concert, she says. Canadian band. The Payolas opened for them, if memory serves. Sandy, appreciate the email to Mike at 570news.com. Hall & Oates and Rich Girl started our show together today. It was number 1 on this day in 1977, and Hall & Oates were the 3rd best-selling music duo of all time, behind only 2 others. One of those others, Simon and Garfunkel. We're still trying to figure out the other one, if we can take a wild stab at it. Bill is on the phone. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mike. But I think it's about time you gave me a number.
Well, I think it's about time you demanded one. Is this your demand for a number, Bill?
Absolutely.
All right, Bill. I got number 360 for you. How's that?
That sounds good. My wife will be proud.
Okay. Bill, first letter of your last name.
P.
P. Bill P. Farwell's Force member number 360. Welcome to the team, buddy.
Thanks. I drive in to Toronto every day, and I always catch at least the first 15 minutes up to your first break.
I love it. That's all I ask for is 15 minutes a day. Anything else is a bonus.
So I think that the second one is Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. A very good guess. No, not the answer, according to the Google searching that I did this morning.
I got another thought, but I'll leave that for somebody else.
All right, Bill. Great to hear from you today, and thank you for becoming a member of Farwell's force, a force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. We are a growing force. Look at that, 360. And that's to say nothing of all the random numbers that are in there because people demanded their own number, a special number of significance to them. That's fine. We are that growing force for good. That's what it's all about. Do you know who Farwell's force member number 1 is? Mary. And she's on the phone. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning to you. Do you think the force will ever grow to 1,000?
Oh, Mary, stop it. I couldn't. No, only in my wildest dreams could something like that happen.
Well, only in your wildest dreams did you think it'd get this high.
That's very true.
So, faith, keep the faith. Anyway, my comment is, and it's kind of been bugging me, is about Ford's, and it'll come out in the budget, but he's mentioned it, about he's giving people a GST holiday for a year to build a new home.
HST coming off new home builds, yes.
Oh, HST, yes. Yeah, well, that's only another thing for the rich, Mike. It's who can afford to build a home.
There you go, Mary.
There you go.
You make a very good point.
No, well, like, again, the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer. What do you think of that, Mike?
Mary, I think you sound like the guys that I used to play cards with. My buddies and I, since college, had played a regular poker game just for fun. Some nights we spent more time talking than we did playing cards. And we had a little thing that we would say often, TRGR, the rich get richer. You might be onto something there, Mary, and we're going to be talking to Ontario Green Party leader and Guelph MPP, Mike Schreiner, just after the 9:30 news about today's budget and what he is hoping to see in it. Are the rich just getting richer, as Mary says? And then we'll get a chance to hear from you as to your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for today's budget. I want to give a quick shout out this morning to my new best friend, Betty. I met Betty yesterday. Quick update by way of background. I haven't complained about my shoulder in a while, have I? You see, I'm pretty good. I'm dealing with it still, but I don't complain about it. Well, at least not to you on a daily basis. But I have been going to get some physiotherapy, thanks to many of the recommendations you made when I was in absolutely incredible pain. The pain has subsided considerably. I really do think the physiotherapy is helping out a lot. So there I was yesterday. I got to my appointment right after work, and I was sitting in the waiting area, and Betty came walking out, having just finished hers. And she took a look at me, and then she did a bit of a double take, and she said, "Sore shoulder, right?" I said, "Betty, how did you know?" Well, I didn't know her name then. But anyway, she listens to the show, had heard that I was having some trouble with my shoulder, and there was Betty and her bionic knee. Just having, she's had her knee replaced and she's getting her physio done. Looking great, moving great. Way to go, Betty. And it was great to meet you yesterday as I waited for my appointment at SOS Physiotherapy. It's been working really well. My pain level might be down to a 1 at this point. I can deal with this. And have you noticed how much less cranky I am? Keep up the great work, Betty. You and your bionic knee are doing fantastic. The other duo that has sold more albums than Hall & Oates. It's Simon and Garfunkel and then the Carpenters. Mike sent me an email to mike@570news.com, so I'm going to take a wild stab at it. The Carpenters is it. So it goes Simon and Garfunkel, the Carpenters, and then Hall & Oates. Best-selling music duos in music history. How do you like that? Little something to tell your friends later on today. An update from the 570 News Center coming right up, and then Mike Schreiner, leader of the Ontario Greens, joins us on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio. Today is Budget Day in Ontario, and I wonder how that makes you feel. Mary called not long before the 9:30 news and said she's just expecting the rich to get richer in this province now that we are here for Budget Day. We've been hearing throughout the morning from Richard Southern, our Queen's Park bureau chief, that there will be measures to increase affordability. in today's budget. I continue to have concerns around the level of debt we carry and the size of our deficits. I feel as though this conservative government, progressive conservative or otherwise, has been anything but conservative fiscally, but I'm cranky that way. I'm always complaining about the amount of money that is being spent and the amount that we are continuing to spend on debt service. We do have, Ontario, the largest subnational debt anywhere on the planet. And if you heard the Farwell Show 5 this morning, you would have heard me remind you that our current debt is more than $460 billion. That is a whopping number. It's also a big province, I'll grant you that. Nonetheless, this being budget day, I have had the opportunity in my past radio days to be at Queen's Park in the lockup when the budget day arrives. And so in the lockup means at 9 o'clock, maybe 9:30 in the morning, it's in and around 9. You go into a room, you leave your cell phone at the door, like everything, and then you stay there until the budget is officially released. But as a reporter, you get this advanced look at it. It's a massive document, hundreds of pages, but there are experts around that you can lean on for some information, this, that, the other thing, so you can prepare your stories so that when the budget is delivered, which in today's case will be 4 o'clock this afternoon by Finance Minister Peter Bethlen-Falvey on the floor of Queen's Park, you as the reporter are already prepared to come out with your stories about the highlights that you have found in that budget. Fellow MPPs, party leaders, also in that lockup. So I remind you of that because Green Party leader and Guelph MPP Mike Schreiner is in that lockup right now. You are forbidden from talking about the budget or anything you're seeing in it until the budget is released. It's under embargo, as we call it. So I just needed to let you know about that. Mike Schreiner is in the lockup right now, but we spoke earlier this morning. I don't want you to think that he's breaking any of the rules or the embargo by talking to me now, having already looked at the budget. We got a chance to catch up earlier this morning before he went into lockup so we could get a sense of what he is hoping to see in the budget. So believe you me, Mike Schreiner, at least not with us this morning, is in any way breaking that embargo. He is in lockup looking through the budget document himself right now, but he and I caught up a little bit earlier this morning, and the first question I asked him was how he approaches a day like this.
Well, we go in looking at what are our priorities, and we zero in on the budget to see if the budget is delivered on that. And, you know, Mike, for me and for the Ontario Green Party, it's really about, is this government going to address the concerns of everyday people, or are they going to continue to bring in policies that make it easier for the wealthy and well-connected to get richer? Because people simply cannot afford that. The housing crisis in particular is just crushing so many folks who are struggling to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, and put food on the table.
Those policies that you refer to that are helping the rich get even richer, can you share some of those with us so we can understand the context?
Yeah, so almost every tax relief measure the government brings in disproportionately benefits the wealthy and well-connected. If you look at most of the scandals that the government has been, engaged in, the $8.3 billion Greenbelt scandal, the $2.5 billion slush development fund, all disproportionately benefit the wealthy and well-connected. And even if you look at some of their rebate measures, I look at the 25% discount on people's electricity prices, disproportionately benefit the wealthy and well-connected. I don't understand why we're spending $7 billion a year on a program that hands out 25% rebate to millionaires and billionaires like Galen Weston, when there's so many people in Ontario who are struggling to put food on the table, put a roof over their head. Food bank use is an all-time high. You have so many people saying we just can't afford to live in Ontario. And then I look especially in rural communities where you have emergency departments closing, where you have homelessness rising at a faster rate. You have roads and bridges being closed. And they're saying, why is the Premier abandoning us to invest billions, waste billions on this ridiculous tunnel idea into the 401, this fantasy island in Lake Ontario to build a convention center. And now the Premier wants to build an island airport. And the thing I told the Premier the other day is, especially with these OSAP cuts that are hitting college and university students so hard, is his island airport more important than the future of young people in this province? And I think that's a question the Premier has failed to answer.
What lens is it that you are looking through when you consider this budget today, Mr. Schreiner? What are the priorities for you in the Green Party of Ontario?
Well, putting everyday people ahead of the wealthy and well-connected who just keep getting richer. And the specific policy points around that is, let's build homes that people can afford. Let's stop the sprawl, which is paving over our farmland and the places we love and contributing to the driving up of housing costs. Let's actually invest in our public health care. So, when people need a doctor or a nurse practitioner, they can get one. When they need to go to the hospital, they're not waiting 16 plus hours or even the emergency department being closed. Let's lower electricity prices, diversify our economy, and create good jobs by investing where most investment dollars are going, and that's in low-cost renewable energy, wind, solar, battery storage. And finally, we have to invest in public education. We have to lower class sizes, and we have to reverse these cuts to OSAP so young people don't graduate with crushing debt.
Have you costed out these ideas as a party?
We always do, Mike. As a matter of fact, just a year ago, when all the parties released their platforms, almost all the economists gave the Greens A's and everyone else, D's and F's, because we'd actually costed things out. And, sometimes people don't like the fact that I say, I think wealthy people need to pay a little bit more in taxes so we can fund public services and balance our budget. But I think it's important to be honest with the people of Ontario about the things you want to spend their money on and how it's going to benefit them and who's going to pay for it.
So what would an increase to tax to the wealthy look like?
Well, you know what? We've said, a small 2-3% increase in the top marginal tax rate would bring in the kind of money we need to be able to fund health care, to be able to build affordable homes, to be able to, not have cuts to OSAP. We're also saying is we're going to totally reorientate the Premier Doug Ford's spending priorities. I mean, Greens would never spend hundreds of billions of dollars to build a tunnel under the 401 that's going to create traffic chaos in the GTA for decades while it's being built, do nothing to solve gridlock. We're absolutely opposed to spending billions on this fantasy island for the Toronto Convention Center when there's already a good convention center in Toronto. Why not just, update it and make it better? I don't think the provincial government should be spending, billions to take over the island airport. Like, I would rather see that money invested in ensuring young people can afford to go to college and university, building homes that people can actually afford so we can address this, this crushing affordability challenge that so many people are facing. Policies to protect renters, investing in healthcare, investing in our education system. Those are the things that people across Ontario tell me we need to do, but unfortunately the Premier seems obsessed with spending billions in Toronto.
The Premier announced just yesterday an elimination of the HST on new homes, and I'll connect that to something that's going on right here in our region, Mr. Schreiner, and that is an increase in development charges by the municipalities of Waterloo and Cambridge. Cambridge still considering theirs, but I understand that cities have greater expense to do the work that's necessary to fund increased infrastructure, increased housing. But along with that HST relief provincially, what can we do to make homes more affordable when municipalities are, forced with increasing development charges, et cetera? What's the plan for more affordable homes?
Yeah, this has been what the Green Party's been leading on for years now. We've been advocating for eliminating the HST on new homes, but that is one small tool in a big toolbox. And the Premier, unfortunately, says no to all the other tools. We should be legalizing multiplexes and mid-rises so we can quickly build housing supply. That's the cheapest and fastest way to do it. We need a government that's going to protect renters from these huge rent increases that people, especially in Waterloo region, but across the province, are experiencing. We need a government that's going to get back into building deeply affordable homes again, Mike. 93% of the deeply affordable homes built in the province of Ontario were built before 1995. That's why we have to start building nonprofit co-op, social and supportive housing. The Premier says no to all of that. And finally, we could lower development charges in Ontario. That's exactly what the Ontario Greens have said. Let's lower development charges on starter homes of under 2,000 square feet within existing urban boundaries, because those are the homes that cost municipalities the least, because they're built where we already have infrastructure in place, and have the province make municipalities whole by having dedicated, predictable funding through an Affordable Communities Fund to pay for housing enabling infrastructure. The Premier says no to all of that. So I don't think he's that committed to actually building homes that people can afford. He seems mostly committed to unlocking land through the Greenbelt scandal or these enforced urban boundary expansions that benefit wealthy and well-connected land speculators, helping them cash in at our expense.
I think there is a connection here. You talk about unlocking that land. You mentioned sprawl and the reduction of it earlier. And I look at a population that has exploded in the last 5 years. It has slowed somewhat of late. But are you confident, Mr. Schreiner, that these ideas that you just suggested, including multiplexes, this intensification and more gentle density, can provide for the population increases that we are anticipating in Ontario?
Absolutely. We need more housing choices for people. Too often it's either a box in the sky or low-density sprawl that's unaffordable. We need to have multiplexes, mid-rises, stacked townhouses. Matter of fact, I was meeting with a development company that specializes in fourplexes, and I'm not saying fourplexes is the only answer. Absolutely not. But if you put one fourplex on every street within an existing urban boundary in Ontario, that would be over 2 million homes. The province's goal, which the Premier can't even reach, is 1.5 million. We have so many solutions. Our plan to build mid-rises to legalize them along major transit and transit corridors, developers tell me would cut their development times in half or more. We are talking about ways to increase supply in the most affordable way and in the fastest way. And unfortunately, the Premier says no to it all the time. And the consequence for Ontario is every other province is building homes and increasing housing supply except for Ontario. And it's because of the Premier's policies, because he's always putting wealthy and well-connected land speculators above homes that everyday people can afford.
The chatter that we are hearing around today's budget before it is released by the finance minister later this afternoon is that affordability measures will be a key focus. Does that give you any optimism heading into the day?
Well, let's hope, but every time this government has brought forward affordability measures in the past, they've disproportionately benefited the rich. And so I'm saying, let's have affordability measures that are targeted to benefiting low and middle income individuals and families who are the ones struggling the most to put a roof over their head and food on the table.
Mr. Schreiner, as always, we appreciate your time on the show. Thank you very much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure, Mike. Anytime.
Mike Schreiner is the leader of Ontario's Green Party and the MPP for Guelph, joins us to talk about today's budget, which will be delivered by Finance Minister Peter Bethlen-Falvey this afternoon at 4. Just so you're aware, Mr. Schreiner is currently in the budget lockup under embargo. Thou shalt not discuss the budget, because he's already got the document in his hands and he can prepare his remarks and do his review prior to that delivery at Queen's Park at 4 this afternoon. Mr. Schreiner and I spoke prior to him going into lockup before the embargo was in effect. So he had not yet seen the budget, but shares with us what he hopes is in it and his concerns with the way this government has conducted itself fiscally over these last many years. Something that you heard Mary say before the 9:30 news this morning. Mary feels as though the rich are just getting richer in this province while the rest of us are not doing as well financially. That was something echoed in that conversation just now with Mike Schreiner. One of the other things that jumped out at me is this idea, and it seems to be an increasingly popular idea, that being to ask the wealthy to pay a little bit more when it comes to taxes, which I think a lot of people can get behind until perhaps they realize that they fall into the wealthy tax bracket. I don't know, but wonder what you think of the idea of additional taxes on the wealthiest Ontarians. And really, as we go into a budget later today that will be delivered by our finance minister, all signals so far are that this budget will aim to help out with the affordability crisis that we're currently feeling. What is it that would make life more affordable for you? What could you hear in the budget today that you'd say, yes, this is helping me at my kitchen table, in my bank account? The pocketbook issue for you. What could make life more affordable? We'll take your thoughts right after this on the Mike Farwell Show. It's Budget Day. This is 570 News Radio.
All the parties released their platforms. Almost all the economists gave the Greens A's because we'd actually costed things out. And sometimes people don't like the fact that I say, I think wealthy people need to pay a little bit more in taxes so we can fund public services and balance our budget. But I think it's important to be honest with the people of Ontario about the things you want to spend their money on and how it's going to benefit them and who's going to pay for it.
There it is again. Little more of a tax on the wealthy. One way to increase revenues at Queen's Park. It's Budget Day. That was Ontario Green Party leader Mike Schreiner, who joined us prior to entering the budget lockup for the day. The finance minister here in Ontario will deliver the budget from the floor of Queen's Park at 4 this afternoon. We're talking about it this morning. Affordability seems to be a key theme, wondering what measures you would look forward to seeing that could make life more affordable for you. Go to the phones, hear from Ernie this morning. Good morning, Ernie.
Hey, Mikey. Just in regard to taxing or letting the top percent pay a bit more. Recently, I've heard that the top 1% of Canada, 40% of those Canadians have left Canada. So the richest people in this country are already moving their money. They didn't get the memo that they're not supposed to go to the States, apparently. So when our top wealthy people are already moving their money, and apparently the second tier, it's estimated that anywhere between 20 to 50% of the second tier richest Canadians are also moving. So this thought about taxing the rich is just another reason they're already getting taxed so hard and they're creating these jobs that they don't even want to be. They understand that it's a weak point to stay in this country right now. So I don't know how we're going to pay for anything. Obviously that's the question here now too. And Doug Ford, in my mind, is not a conservative, especially with the spending. He's straight up. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, wearing a red suit, or wearing a blue suit, but he's red. So, just my thoughts on taxing that top 1%.
Yeah, Ernie, I hear where you're coming from, but I hear you barely. They're not the best connection. If you couldn't pick up what Ernie was saying, he was talking about some of the highest income earners in this country having abandoned Canada for, let's call them greener pastures in the United States or elsewhere. And I've heard this argument before, and I understand it. I mean, those who have accumulated great wealth often make the argument, and I think it's a fair argument to make. Listen, we have come up with the idea or built the business that, yes, has enriched us, but we also employ tens of thousands of Ontarians or Canadians, whatever the case may be. And if you feel as though you are being unduly taxed in this country, I guarantee you that you can find another place to go where you will be able to keep more of that money. It's the ongoing balancing act under capitalism. It's that simple. If you don't like the way your capital is being treated or taxed in one country, surely there will be another that will tax it a little bit less and allow you, as one of the wealthiest, to keep more of it. So Ernie's not so sure about this idea of imposing greater taxes on those with the most wealth. I got to get you to the news center for your 10 a.m. update. And then, as you know, because several of you were already calling earlier this week with anticipation of last night's regional council meeting where the former bus terminal on Charles Street in downtown Kitchener would be declared surplus land. But there weren't exactly fireworks when that part of the meeting came along. I'll share with you what did happen and some other notables from last night's regional council meeting coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. One of the biggest things that is happening in Waterloo Region is our lack of water. The water supply issue is, without question, the largest issue that we are facing as a community. And our regional council dealt with that issue again last night at its meeting, sort of. One of the other big issues, and this is more of a longer-term play, however, one of the other big issues is what to do with, what will become of the former bus terminal on Charles Street in downtown Kitchener. We learned several weeks ago that there was an intention of declaring those lands surplus, and the formalization of that intention happened at the regional council meeting last night. And I know from talking to you that you were looking forward to this with some deal of anticipation. Barb called us on Tuesday afternoon during the show to let us know what she thinks.
We need a gathering place. Here in KW, I really think that we need a place to gather, a place to get together, a place to bitch, because we're all so isolated now because of COVID, etc. People used to do it on their front porch. They used to get together at restaurants. We're being sort of separated now. But if there was an issue that we wanted to get together at, where would we go in Kitchener if there was an issue that was serious and we wanted to get together with other people and find out what's going on? What, the City Hall, auditorium, a park? We used to go to the university. We need a gathering place, and we need a place with greenery. We need lots of greenery to counteract all the cement that's going in downtown.
That was Barb's idea, her appeal on Tuesday afternoon when she called the show. And that is in keeping with what some have suggested is an opportunity at that former bus terminal on Charles Street. Because if you were on the back side, I guess, of that terminal, not on the Charles Street side, but on the Francis Street side, you are steps away from the main entrance, if you will, or one of the main entry points to Victoria Park, the clock tower, etc., right off Cockle Street. So an extension of that green space, that gathering space, something that Barb was looking for. And then Phil gave us a call on the show yesterday afternoon, sharing his anticipation for last night's council meeting.
I think this is a golden opportunity to finally have that downtown. Remember years ago, Carl was there and revitalizing the downtown and the block that rocks. We finally have an opportunity under the region to really do what's right. You've talked about it before on the show. You've got the goggle blocks. You've got the parking garage. You've got buildings that are sitting empty. Let's do what's right, but let's do what's right for everybody. Let's make it available for everybody. Let's do housing. Let's do the downtown, the rec complexes that we don't have along the LRT. I mean, the $1 billion LRT is right there. Let's do what's right for not just one lobby group, but for everybody in the region.
Let's do what's right for everybody in the region. What an opportunity this piece of downtown real estate represents. So we were champing at the bit. We were ready for this meeting last night. Maybe, just maybe, somebody on regional council, or more than one somebody, was paying attention to your thoughts on this show, your big ideas, your big dreams, because it was made very clear that the item on the agenda last night at the regional council meeting to declare those lands on the former bus terminal site in downtown Kitchener surplus is pretty much all that last night's meeting was about.
Just for people watching, could staff just clarify that the actions taken today don't preclude future discussions about how we use the land, future phasing, future ownership, future leasing, and that this is a legal step in this exciting process?
Through the chair, that's correct. This is the declaration of surplus that would allow these next steps to be taken in terms of future uses for the property and how it may be moved forward.
So basically, what we got last night at the regional council meeting was housekeeping. That's it. The lands are to be declared surplus. Council agrees to that, and they move on. The rest of the excitement, all of the ideas and the anticipation around the lands will be discussed at a future time. But all that was really done last night was the formalization of the intention to declare the lands of the former bus terminal surplus. There had been a gentleman listed on the agenda who was to appear as a delegation to talk about those lands being declared surplus, but he did not turn up at the meeting. So really, what I'm getting at here is, despite our anticipation and despite the ideas we have shared on the show over these last many weeks, last night's regional council meeting, at least in that regard, was a bit of a dud. However, there were other issues discussed, not the least of which is our new cart-based waste collection system, which I'm sure you are interested in, and I will get to that. But that other big issue that I mentioned at the outset, the water issue in this community, you will recall that there was a motion put forward, or a staff suggestion, that the region draw additional capacity to help with this overall capacity issue we've been having, draw that additional capacity from wells in Wilmot Township, only to learn that the region had kind of already been doing that and didn't tell anybody, and that was going against, it was in contravention of long-standing, 40 years of a long-standing regional policy. So why would they even ask for permission to draw attention to something they had already been doing? I don't know, but that has caused a great deal of concern, and Wilmot resident John Jordan appeared as a delegate at last night's regional council meeting to make it clear what he thinks of the townships being put under that strain.
What we are seeing is effectively a reallocation of groundwater resources, prioritizing large-scale municipal and industrial demand over existing rural users who rely on the same aquifer for their sustainability of the necessities of life. That may be a policy choice, but it's one that should be explicitly acknowledged. Because in practical terms, it means that private well owners in Wilmot Township are assuming increased risk to support regional growth, but bear and suffer from all of the consequences of a low aquifer.
So the townships suffer, so the rest of the region can benefit from that additional growth that can be realized when there is enough water in the system. And as you heard from our reporter Josh Piercy during All News Mornings today with Christine Clark and Mark Douglas, there are conversations continuing at the regional level, and the suggestion that we ask the province to pause water taking permits as we try to figure out what's going on around here. We are going to defer that conversation again until April the 8th. So do we suspend that old agreement limiting how much water we can take from Wilmot Township? John Jordan clearly says you're taking enough already. You're putting the townships under unnecessary strain, and they're just going to defer that and bring it back to a later meeting in a couple of weeks' time. So there's the water issue. Something that leapt off the page to me at last night's regional council meeting, and I thought you would appreciate hearing about this. There was an update provided to council on the community safety and well-being plan here in the region, and it was met with some opposition, if not frustration. One of the frustrations was that this update had not come to a committee meeting prior to being presented to the entirety of council, so there wasn't as much time to digest it as councillors would have liked. But in general, the sense I got from watching last night's council meeting is that councillors aren't sure that the priority areas identified in our community safety and well-being plan are actually meeting the needs of residents in this region. When you ask somebody, What does community safety look like? The 4 pillars that are being identified as priority areas in this plan are intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, as well as 2S LGBTQIA plus persons, combating hate, mental health and addictions, and safe and inclusive spaces. Those are the 4 priority areas identified in the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan presented last night. But it was Wilmot Mayor and Regional Councillor Natasha Salonen that first pushed back and said, look, I understand these 4, but if you ask people in my township what safety means to them, they're going to talk about vehicles that are driving too fast. They're going to talk about residential break-ins, either to their homes or other, garages, sheds, whatever, on their properties. They're going to talk about vehicle thefts. And this Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan doesn't touch on any of those things. So that was kind of the theme when this plan was presented to council last night. And then Regional Councillor Sue Foxton, who's the mayor, of course, of North Dumfries, dropped this little item on council.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hold your heads up high and say you did the best you could or what you thought you were supposed to do. Our job here is to say thank you, but, and it is the but. So, and you know what? WRPS knows this. They see the but every single day. They see it on the streets. They see it in the homes. They see it in dark alleys. They know the buts already. And, it's like Waterloo Region, one of the highest places for human trafficking, right? That's terrifying, that we are one of the highest places for human trafficking, homeless. I was working with the YWCA. They had 2 90-year-old women on the streets, and they couldn't provide a bed for them. 90 years old that had pensions, but the pensions were back in the 80s, and it doesn't buy them a room today. Those are concerns. Auto theft for sure, but there's a million other concerns. Kids on the street, kids in townships, we have kids not even just kids couch surfing. We have whole families moving in with the elderly parents to support them because they can't. And this is the reality of our world today. So WRPS sees a lot of this and knows this. And this is a nice document that covers a lot of the areas that we've already known about. But it's hitting the core of our community, the very in-depth core that needs us more than ever. And they don't fit into a category. They are just human beings needing to fit into our society, and they don't know how. So that's what we're saying to you. We're saying there's more. There's more, and we want you to touch the hearts of everybody with this document. We want you to talk people into thinking beyond their own little narrow world. We want them to see our world, not just the bad, also the good, but how the good can help deal with the bad. And if somebody doesn't write it and show it and portray it, then we go by it again another year.
Regional Councillor Sue Foxton, in response to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan presented last night to Regional Council. Again, the priority areas identified in the plan: intimate partner violence, gender-based violence, missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and 2S LGBTQIA plus persons is Pillar 1. Combating hate is Pillar 2. Mental health and addictions, the 3rd pillar, and safe and inclusive spaces, the 4th. A general sense from council last night, and you hear it laid bare there by Regional Councillor Sue Foxton, that we're not encompassing enough of the region when we talk about what is impacting these feelings of community safety and well-being. So we will continue moving forward with that plan and keeping our ears on it. And finally, it's waste collection day in our neighborhood. Rosie and I, when we were out for our walk yesterday afternoon, saw many a home had already wheeled out the carts. Unfortunately, some of those carts were black carts for waste collection. At least in our neighborhood, it's not waste this week. It's green bin and blue bin. But we're going to figure it out. And Regional Councillor Matt Rodriguez asked for an update on our cart-based waste collection system last night.
We've had a few residents reach out that they've put in service requests or called and maybe haven't heard back. Could you maybe just speak to where that might be happening, and if you have any just updates that you'd be interested in sharing with the community about how the rollout's been going. Thanks so much for the team.
Thank you, and through the chair, and thank you for the compliments. It's been all hands on deck, as I'm sure you are all aware and can imagine as we've transitioned to the new service. So within the first week of launching the new service, we had about 20,000 phone calls from residents. So just for context, we typically get about 25,000 calls in a month. And so this was quite an undertaking for staff, and they've been working through a fairly significant backlog. That said, I'm pleased to report that service has evened out, smoothed out as we anticipated, and the number of calls that we're getting now are much less. And so my hope would be that residents are experiencing not the same types of delays in hearing back from us that they might have the first week. And of course, if there is anyone that is, I would be happy to follow up with them directly.
So if you have not yet heard back about any concern that you have, bear with the region. 20,000 calls in the first week of the new system when they usually receive 25,000 calls in a month. But things are getting better, so hang in there. We're all going to get used to this. I played for you a little bit of audio from John Jordan's presentation at Regional Council last night about, as a Wilmot resident, what he's seeing as the unfair burden being placed on the townships and the drawing from their aquifers to support the rest of the region. One of the other things that John Jordan talked about was, of course, the 770 acres assembled for an industrial mega site. Well, every day around this time, I remind you that not everybody in this world is a jackwagon. And there is a connection between our fight for farmland here and the story you are about to hear, reminding us that not everybody is a jackwagon, and apparently not everybody has their price. I'll share the story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. I absolutely could not resist bringing you this story as your daily reminder that not everybody is a jackwagon, because I'm sure you will immediately recognize the parallels to what's going on right here in the region of Waterloo. So I'll begin with the question, how much is farmland worth? Well, to a family in Kentucky, it's worth more than $26 million. The land, by value in the area of Kentucky where this family lives, is worth about $6,000 an acre. But a company wanting to build an AI data center on the land offered the Huddleston family of Kentucky 10 times that amount, $26 million. But Mom Ida had no problem turning down that offer.
They call us old stupid farmers, but we're not. We know whenever our food is disappearing, our lands are disappearing, and we don't have any water.
Ida is 82 years old, and she has spent her entire life on that farm, something she says $26 million cannot replace. And Ida's daughter agrees.
Stay and hold and feed a nation. If it's my way, I'll stay and hold and feed a nation. 26 million doesn't mean anything. My grandfather and great-grandfather and a whole bunch of family has all lived here for years, paid taxes on it, fed a nation off of it, even raised wheat through the Depression and kept the bread lines up in the United States of America.
While development may continue nearby this family farm, the Huddleston family farm in Kentucky, their fields are going to remain just as they have always been, full of life, full of history, full of purpose, and in a world often driven by profit and technology. Their choice stands as an inspiring testament to staying true to what matters most. The Huddleston family of Kentucky will not budge on the $26 million offer that would remove them from their land, even though it's an offer 10 times more than what the land is valued at, according to estimates at the time. And that is your daily reminder that not everybody is a jackwagon. We do this every day, just around 10:20. And if you know somebody, maybe somebody in your world, your life, that is not a jackwagon. We like to keep it local too. Share those good news stories. By all means, share it with me. Drop me an email to mike@570news.com and we'll share the story of someone you know who is not a jackwagon. There's lots of people who aren't, right? An update from the 570 News Center coming up, and then a man who is certainly not a jackwagon. He tickles our funny bone every Thursday morning just after the 10:30 news. Gary Chalk joins us next for Living Retired. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio.
Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
And so we begin another journey into the mind of Gary Chalk. He's the humor columnist that joins us every Thursday morning just after the 10:30 update with his humor column brought to life on the radio. It's Living Retired on the radio. If you want to find the written version, you just go to livingretired.press. And while you're there, make sure you sign up to have the column delivered directly to your inbox every week. It's a great email to get amongst all of the other nonsense that you probably don't want to read. You'll want to read Living Retired every week when it's delivered to your inbox. Go to livingretired.press and sign up for it. And while you're doing that, you can invite Gary to speak at your corporate function, your service club, whatever the case may be. I received a really nice email from Olesia last evening who thanked us profusely for having Gary on the show every week. It gave her an excellent idea to help give a send-off to a couple of retiring clients. So great stuff that we were able to make that connection and that Gary joins us every Thursday morning for Living Retired on the radio. Good morning, Gary.
Hey, good morning, Mike with the mic. Yeah, we had a lot of fun over there and with the two clients of Alicia's. The thing is, when you go to a retirement or any party, if it's organized by a personal trainer, I thought that maybe we'd have to get down on the floor and begin with crunches.
I wondered if she'd put you through your paces.
Hey, I'm telling you, Living Retired, I'd be on the floor, and I'd stay on the floor.
I can relate.
You got it. Remember last Thursday we chatted about when men get a cold. We get a doozy. Women call it sniffles. We call it a man cold.
It's the man cold.
You got it. Well, Monday, my man cold became man cold version 2.0. And, of course, I said to Jen, dear, I hope you never, ever get a cold as bad as this. Right away, she was frustrated. Gary, if you want man cold, I'm telling you, I'll leave you out on the back patio overnight. Then you can talk about man cold.
She'll put you in your place, Chalk.
You got it. Hey, have you ever had an MRI?
I have had an MRI, yes.
Really?
I have on my knee back in the day. I had to have it checked out, yeah.
Oh, sports injury, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, I was playing. If it wasn't for that knee injury, Gary, I'd be in the NHL right now.
You got it. Well, you may remember, I think I said back in early January, I received an email because I got this wonky left arm, and they said my MRI was for January 4th, and I thought, great. Then I looked, and it said 2027. And I thought, my gosh. Well, anyways, they changed that to last Friday morning, and the appointment they made for me, and they sent me, and it was great. They said 7:30 in the morning. But they wanted me to the hospital by 7:15. I am living retired. That means I usually get up and out of bed maybe by the crack of noon, not 6 o'clock for a 7:30 morning.
Of course not. Why would you want to do that living retired?
Exactly. Well, I arrived on time, and they gave me a key where it was to change in the broom closet there. That's what it felt like. And, of course, they handed me one of those famous hospital gowns. Now, removing my clothes, that was the easy part in the broom closet, other than I kept bumping my head and everything into the wall. I was trying to yank the hoodie over top. And that's when all this noise, somebody said outside, Mr. Chalk, are you all right in there? Well, it turns out it was sort of like being in a Moore's men's clothing store change room, but without being jabbed by sharp pins in the floor. Finally, I stripped down to my underwear and my socks, and it's time to put the gown on. An MRI, they say, costs $5 million. Mike, the cost of a hospital gown, I don't think it's 5 cents. There's nothing to it. I'm telling you, the guy who designed the hospital gown is the same person who I think designed the resealable baggie. It just doesn't work. It's designed for easy access for doctors and nurses. However, for patients, it's designed so you can't get the darn thing on.
It's so true.
Oh, it is. I said they wanted me there early. Well, that's because I'm trying to figure out this flimsy, thin piece of fabric. It's got no back over your. I don't even think it has a front on it. It's so thin. It's one size fits all, except you.
I don't know about you, Gary, but I always tie it at the front. I'm not going to take any chances with what's dangling out the back end there, you know?
Well, that was the problem. I did it. Well, first of all, I couldn't figure out where to start. I've never tried to put a bed sheet on me. So I got my right arm through the armhole, but I couldn't find the hole for the left arm. The thing was all twisted, and I came to the conclusion that the hospital gown, it's designed to be both backless and frontless. And then outside I hear, Mr. Chalk, are you coming out soon? They're ready for your MRI scan. I said, I'm almost ready. That's when I said, what you figured out, do you tie it up at the side, the front, the back, wherever? I'm out of options in here. So eventually, I got out of the broom closet to walk to the MRI room, and walking while you're wearing a hospital gown, you might feel air flowing in places I never knew air could flow.
Sometimes, come on, Gary, can we be honest for a second here? Nobody's paying attention. Sometimes that airflow, doesn't feel the worst, does it?
Well, I guess. But the trouble is, you're experiencing this airflow while everybody else is waiting, and they're looking at you.
Where is that air flowing? Why is he walking like that?
That's right. Well, then I get in the room, and this is true. They ask you questions in the room. They have their little clipboard. Mr. Chalk, are you wearing any metal? I said, no. And then they said, we have to ask it, are you wearing a bra? Mike, it's bad enough seeing me wrapped in a light blue-colored bedsheet. Now they want to know if I'm wearing a bra. I was about to have an MRI scan. I'm worried. I need emotional support. I don't need structural support. It was bizarre. For my MRI, it was on my left forearm. I thought all I was going to do was stick my arm in the donut machine and not my entire body.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had to lay down on my stomach, and I had to put my left arm up over my head, and then I had to twist it until my palm was facing up. This is when the technician said, Gary, just relax and be comfortable.
Like this?
Yeah, you can't do it. You're wearing a hospital gown. You're laying on your stomach. Your face is buried in a pillow. Your arm's twisted up over your top. The palm of your hand is inverted, looking up at the ceiling. Then, Mike, to keep my body in position, they brought out a whole mess of, they look like soft foam bricks, and they pack them all around my body. So with the foam bricks packed around me, somehow they managed to twist my head up into the air and put a big honking set of headphones over my head. And that's when the technician said, what kind of music would you like to listen to? Well, the problem is I couldn't hear because my head was stuck into the pillow.
It's like those darn decorator pillows at home.
Oh, it's just more pillows, Mike. So then that's when she pulled the headset off and she said, Gary, you can listen to music to relax you and help you keep still. We don't want you to move for about 20 minutes. 20 minutes? So she said, how about some classic rock? I'm thinking 20 minutes listening to Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's going to keep me from moving all around? I thought, well, maybe they have another genre, maybe bagpipes, if you want to really get me bopping. So within minutes, the MRI has begun, and I'm listening to Hotel California.
Perfect.
Yeah. Welcome to Hotel California, such a lovely place, such a lovely face. Mike, I'm laying on my stomach wearing a flimsy gown, face buried in a pillow, arms up over my shoulder, hand twisted upright. It's not like room service at Hotel California.
Farthest thing from, actually.
Oh, I'm telling you. Now, remember, they told me I had to lay still for 20 minutes. Immediately, I had to itch my nose, rub my ears, tap my toes because I was listening to Hotel California.
I knew it. Like, that's what happens when they say you can't do this or you can't do that.
That's right.
You need to do it. You got to scratch that itch.
That's it. Every part of my entire body suddenly decided this was the exact moment they demanded my undivided attention. This was all within the first minute. I only had 19 minutes to go. So, have you ever tried to hold a sneeze for 19 minutes?
I don't know about 19 minutes, but...
Well, I haven't had a sneeze in 19 days. Now I had to hold one for 19 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and then another thing about the 20 minutes, you're cemented to that examination table. Every so often, in the noise-reducing headphones they put over my ears, I could... they would sort of stop and I could hear some muffled sound in my earphones saying, "Gary, how are you feeling?" How am I supposed to answer if I can't move?
You can't even move your lips. May we blink? Isn't that what Chevy Chase says in Christmas Vacation?
That's it.
Yeah.
20 excruciating minutes lying perfectly still on my stomach, held in position by some foam bricks. They removed me from the MRI machine. It was over. And I stood up. Instantly, I scratched every part of my body. I thought I was a baseball player in the batter's box.
I love it.
Oh, Mike, with that, they gave me directions to go back to the broom closet there to change. The problem is, you are totally exposed walking through the waiting room to the broom closet to get changed. I couldn't find the key for the broom closet. It wasn't in the pocket of the hospital gown. They don't have pockets in the hospital gown.
No, they do not.
No, so really, Mike, hospitals are equipped with absolute latest state-of-the-art technology, brilliant, very well-educated and trained kind professionals. They make patients walk in a piece of cloth that even Fred Flintstone wouldn't wear.
Gary, you are a hospital insider and a humor column writer. I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm feeling better and happy. The base Blue Jays game today. Happy April Fools. It's going to be a fun week.
Can't wait till talk to you again a week's time, Gary. Thanks for this.
You bet. Bye-bye now.
Gary Chalk is the humor columnist that writes Living Retired. He brings Living Retired to this radio program each and every Thursday morning at 10:30. You can find it online by visiting livingretired.press. While you're there, sign up to have the column delivered directly to your inbox. It really does help set apart all of the other email that you might not be as interested in getting. It's a fun read every Monday, livingretired.press. And when you get in touch with Gary there to have the column delivered, maybe there's a place that he could join you, your service club, your corporate event, whatever it happens to be. You hear that he always brings his own unique style. It's Living Retired on the radio every Thursday morning here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. As you know, this is a municipal election year, and there has been some reporting of late because reports have been coming to various councils about the amount spent on salaries for those councils. I try not to get too deep into that. I don't think that our councillors are in any way overpaid, although I have struggled with the size of increase that has been awarded in recent times. I just think that the optics of that are really bad in a tough economy if somebody's getting a 30% increase. But I've long been an advocate for making these roles full-time. And then in so doing, perhaps having fewer people doing the job. And I bring that up because Regional Council considered this last night, and it's just over $3 million to govern us here across the region, but that means $3.3 million paid to 59 municipal politicians. That does not include your school board trustees. We have 59 elected councillors or heads of council, mayors and or chairs. 59. We are a community of about 700,000 people. We do not need 59 elected representatives for the love of all things holy. Amalgamation now. Please. What are we doing? 59. Just when you see it staring you in the face. That's an awful lot. I'm not talking about the individual salaries. $3.3 million in the grand scheme of things is the proverbial drop in the bucket. But 59. Why do we need 59 locally elected politicians? I do not have an answer for that. But I would love for us to reduce that number. One government to rule us all here in the region. We could slice that number in half easily, and then some. I think the number I arrived at was 23 or 24. Make them full-time positions, one level of local government, and let's just move on. A story that we have been following is the story out of Cambridge about the Heritage Conservation District and the consideration for expanding that heritage conservation area in and around the core of Galt. There has been considerable pushback. We spoke just the other day, Tuesday, I believe it was, with the gentleman who has formed sort of the ad hoc committee, because there hasn't been any sort of advisory committee formed by the city of Cambridge. So concerned citizens, business owners in the core of Galt took it upon themselves to form a group that offered the, I guess, alternate perspective as to why it might not be a good idea to expand the Heritage Conservation District in Cambridge. And just in case you were curious about the follow-up on that, Council voted 6-3 against, at its meeting on Tuesday night, expanding that Heritage Conservation District in Cambridge. Here's what Councillor Scott Hamilton, who represents Ward 7, had to say.
So looking at the comparisons of other cities, we're looking at the nature of HCDs, be it Oakville, be it Orangeville, be it Stratford. It seems like a lot of these cities aren't quite similar to Cambridge, and especially Galt, but that those HCDs were designed to insulate heritage from developmental pressures that were increasingly encroaching on an area, where Cambridge seems to be suffering from the opposite problem, where if you look at the downtown of Galt, we see a loss, or in fact a hemorrhaging of businesses, of people, of economies that an HCD should be designed to protect. And as Councillor Roberts pointed out, the implementation of an HCD by expanding the boundaries might frighten away the exact forms of economic investment that we as a city need to increase and entice in order to create the sustainable downtown core that I think we as a council want to see created, both now and into the future. And I think we also need to pay attention to a lot of the voices we're hearing, whether it's from our BIAs or a lot of the individuals that live in Cambridge that have dedicated their own professions and businesses and careers towards developing our downtown cores to be that sense or that place of excitement, exuberance, placemaking that we know and love. I think we need to pay more attention to the experts and people with experience that are working out in the fields of economic development, of business, and of creating sustainable downtown cities and cores, to listen to them and ask, well, what are the ingredients that need to be made? Because I think if indeed, as the consultants said, if HCDs were the recipe for economic success, we would have economic success on the main street of Galt, and we don't. So I think there are further variables that we can investigate in my mind, but it does not justify expanding the boundaries as the current motion proposes.
I think it's an interesting conclusion to draw. If these heritage conservation districts were the ingredients that created the recipe for success, then Main Street through Galt would have that economic success. And in the eyes of Councillor Scott Hamilton, it currently does not. As I mentioned before playing that clip for you, Cambridge Council voted 6-3 against the expansion of its Heritage Conservation District at its meeting on Tuesday night. Only Mayor Jan Liggett and councillors Cooper and Ermetta were in favor of the expansion of the Heritage Conservation District. So it's been a story that's been in the news for quite some time. We've spoken to a number of people about it, and Cambridge Council on Tuesday decided against the expansion of that Heritage Conservation District in the core area of Galt. It's fast approaching 11 a.m. and your update in the 570 News Center. Before 11:30, we're going to talk about Hold'em for Hospice, something I think you'll be interested in, and how is artificial intelligence helping us to eliminate home service scams. I'm all for the elimination of the scams. We'll tell you how coming up next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. As I'm sure you know, fraud is a going concern in this community and around the world. Regional police often warning us about certain scams that are being perpetrated in our community. I get my backup particularly when they impact the elderly, some of our more vulnerable folk in our community at times. And that's not to be dismissive of anybody else who is victimized. It's awfully difficult out there. But one local company is trying to help us in that regard. It's called Better Bid, and its founder and CEO, Alex Kimmich, joins the show this morning. Alex, good morning.
Good morning.
You look at fraud particularly in the contracting or home renovation business. How did Better Bid get started?
Yeah, so I worked as a carpenter, and we found that so many people were afraid to hire a contractor. There was no trust. So we looked into it more, and we found this is a nationwide issue. There are hundreds of millions of dollars lost to home service fraud every year. And that creates an issue between contractors and homeowners because it tarnishes the reputation of the contractors and creates a lack of trust with homeowners.
So how did you determine to increase this level of trust? What was your idea here?
So our idea was to create a free tool that allows anybody to look up the name of their contractor and receive a comprehensive report of everything that they can find online. So we use AI to understand who this contractor really is in order to create transparency of who you're hiring.
So what you're also saying then here is the artificial intelligence is not all for bad things, I guess, because a lot of us get concerned about job losses as a result of AI, but this is putting the tool to what sounds like a very good use.
Yeah, it's a very rare case of AI being used for good in these times.
Okay, so you started out with this was, I guess, an internal version of Better Bid. So who did that support at the time when you first launched?
Yeah, so we used that internally to allow contractors onto the platform. It was something that we did by hand, but we had it worked too well to just hold internally. So we opened it up to the public. We made it more automated, and it's at a point now where it can find, I don't even look up contractors anymore. I just use the tool. It's so good that it's just going to do better than I can in understanding a contractor because it can see things that I wouldn't be able to.
How are you able to verify the information that the artificial intelligence bot, for lack of a better word, is going out there and finding for you?
Yeah, so it's actually very unique the way it works. So this is a pretty common misconception, is that what we're not doing is looking up everything and aggregating all the information to say, this is a good contractor or a bad contractor. What it's really doing is actually just looking for discrepancies in stated information. So we had a report recently of somebody who claims on their website they've been operating for 20 years. You go on to reviews of the contractor, there's only 5, all within a short period of time, 6 months ago, and then no following reviews. And and it like found the domain of the website and understood that it was just only made 6 months ago. So this guy is clearly lying about his reputation, and he's more than likely intends to defraud people and then unincorporate and then reincorporate.
I suspect, Alex, that this not only helps consumers, but it helps contractors as well, because it's really elevating those who are doing honest work out there.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like the support that we've received from contractors because it affects contractors too. Like not only does it decrease their trust in the industry, it drives down their price. Like these people are saying, oh, I can do it for $10,000 cheaper than this other guy. And then they just take the deposit and leave. So that is taking work away from honest, trustworthy contractors who believe in their craft and have committed to quality. It's stealing from them.
How do you
able to make a difference?
How do you make money through Better Bid?
The tool itself is completely free. So it used to be a paid thing, but we found it was actually we got calls from people saying that we prevented them from being defrauded. So we just opened it up because it seemed like a good thing to do. The way that we monetize is contractors pay a minor fee when they receive a job. So if a client agrees to work with this contractor through the app, the contractor pays a minor fee, which saves them on Google Ads and other more nefarious forms of marketing.
Sure. So this is really, you become that sort of central point for folks to source their next renovation. They're looking for the reliable contractor, and Better Bid is kind of doing that grunt work for them, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a one-stop shop for verifying your contractor before they come to your door.
You mentioned at the outset, Alex, that you were a carpenter, are a carpenter. These two things don't necessarily seem to match for me. Somebody that works with his hands as a carpenter and creates an app like this using artificial intelligence. How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, that's a great question. In high school, I worked as a programmer. I've always been interested in building things. I've always had that natural curiosity. And I had a natural background in tech. So I was developing video games in high school while people were in class, which is very, very strange. But ultimately, it led to me being able to create this thing. I had a vision for this thing. And I think under a different circumstance, I wouldn't have been able to create this. It only happened as a result of seeing the issue and then being in a rare case to address it in a meaningful way.
What was it like building the platform?
Grueling.
Yeah.
not fun. We moved around a lot. I've been very, very committed to talking to homeowners and contractors. Almost every single person that uses the app or the platform, I've had a conversation with. I've spoken to thousands of contractors and hundreds of homeowners just about what would help them and how we can best address this issue. So I would say that was the more difficult part, was actually talking to the people that we intend to help.
Where do people find it? How can we learn more? And if we're looking at that next renovation, how can we access this?
Yeah, you can go to betterbid.ca, or you can download the Better Bid app on the App Store.
Are you surprised at the uptake?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I would say I'm surprised at the scope of the issue. This should have been a non-issue by now. We live in such an advanced technological time that there should not be this magnitude of contracting scams.
It is certainly unfortunate. As I said at the outset, it seems as though every other week we're being warned about something by our fraud department at Regional Police. Not all necessarily, of course, related to contracting and home renovation, but there seems to be plenty of people out there that are trying to make that quick buck at the expense of people doing the honest work.
Yeah, and we have a national dispute database. So we got so many reports that we made our own database of these scams. And very, very, very few of them are ever even spoken about online. The official stat is hundreds of millions of dollars lost a year. But based on what we've seen, it could easily be within the billions. because they like when you're scammed, you feel threatened by the contractor. Oftentimes they'll like physically threaten you. They'll say, don't speak out, or I'll sue you, or I'll come to your house and do X and Y. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's beyond what anything I could have ever expected.
I'm glad something like this exists to help people hopefully avoid getting scammed in the future. Alex, great work, and thanks very much for making time for the show today.
Yeah, thanks for speaking with me.
Alex Kimmich is the founder and CEO of Better Bid. If you go to betterbid.ca, you can learn more. And I can absolutely understand how those who are reputable in the industry are very interested in getting behind something like this. I had a friend tell me a long, long time ago, well, it was just, look, I'm not here to disparage any of the hardworking folk in that industry. I sit here and talk every day. Respect to those of you who are out there doing the great work that you're doing. And I'm just glad that somebody has taken this upon themselves to help reduce, if not maybe ultimately eliminate, the number of people who are scammed by these nefarious contractors who are out there and, yeah, we'll do it for this much less, take the deposit, and then they disappear. We hear about this far too often. Heck, my next door neighbor got burned by one, not necessarily a home renovation, but it was something to do with his chimney, because somebody said, well, we're in the neighborhood and we noticed that your chimney needs this or that. And the next day they were there to start the work, which was basically dismantling half of the chimney, and then they never came back. So tough stuff. And when you see it firsthand, you really hope that we can avoid having other people fall into that trap in the future. So betterbid.ca might just be the place to ensure that it doesn't happen as often moving forward. Putting AI to some good use out there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about Hold'em for Hospice. If it sounds intriguing, like it does to me, you'll get the details coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. It is happening 3 weeks from this Saturday. It is called Hold'em for Hospice, and you had me at Hold'em. My attention has been captured. Sarah Ainsworth is the Fund Development Coordinator at Lessard and Innisfree Hospice and joins us to tell us more this morning. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for making the time for the show. Hold'em for Hospice. As I said, you kind of had me at Hold'em. Is it what I think it is, Sarah?
It is. We're hosting a fun casino fundraiser. It's the first time we've ever done an event like this. And so on April 18th at the Doubletree Hotel in Kitchener, we're having a casino night where you can try your luck at blackjack, roulette, poker, crown and anchor, and it's just coming out, having fun, great food, and playing some fun games. You don't have to have any experience. The dealers are there to help people, so that shouldn't deter anyone. It's a great way to learn to maybe play something new as well, while again supporting a good cause and the important work that we do at Lessard and Innisfree Hospice.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, particularly where the funds will be directed, Sarah. What do fundraisers like this and the money that you raise help you to do at Lessard and Innisfree?
Well, we receive some government funding. That funding only supports some of the care at the bedside, so we do have to raise 50% of that amount additional money to support our wraparound services. So we have various programs like our legacy program, social work. We have kitchens, so we provide food to our residents and their families. We also have bereavement programs, our coffee time, which I know you're familiar with, which is an informal program, our more formal, which is our family time, which is a smaller group. And the government funding doesn't cover any of those costs. Most of our families are quite surprised when they learn about our services or their loved one has passed, that we don't receive more government funding. So fundraisers like this and our hike and other things that we do directly support the care that our residents and their families are receiving in our community, which is so important because it gives families a time to be family at such a difficult time, and time is unfortunately limited. So all the money raised through the casino night and anything else we do is directly supporting the work that we do within hospices and the experiences that our families are receiving when they have a loved one in our homes.
It's interesting, Sarah, you mentioned that families are generally surprised to learn that there isn't more government funding to support the services that you provide through Lessard and Innisfree. And one of the things, you mentioned that coffee time program, which I am familiar with thanks to the relationship that we've built over the years. And I've learned more about hospice care. And one of the things that surprised me early on, and I still think might surprise others, is the atmosphere when you walk through those doors. Because we are talking about, of course, end of life, and you mentioned that time that families get, but the time is, of course, limited, and everybody knows that. But these buildings are really positive places with really incredible energy in them.
You're right. I mean, a lot of people are quite surprised how home-like both of our homes are as well, and how when they come out to the kitchen, it's like in their own home, where you might be greeted by a family member, or you're being offered a warm bowl of soup or a fresh baked good. The rooms are big and spacious, and they're a blank canvas. So families are welcome to decorate them as they see fit, because we are welcoming them into our homes, and we want them to feel like they are at home and they are comfortable and they can make the space their own. And while people think, it might be sad and, there isn't joy and happiness, there is so much joy and happiness. We've had vow renewals, we've had surprise parties, we've had weddings, and people are shocked that we're willing to go above and beyond to help support individuals needing our services, and what we're willing to do to help support them and just make every day count, and be as positive as possible. So it's an honor to welcome people into our homes and to be able to support them and them to feel like it's a home for them as well.
You mentioned that with this Hold'em for Hospice Casino Night, a chance for us to try our hand at various games, no experience necessary. The dealers will be happy to help us out. And I know part of the evening as well is an auction, both live and silent. Any idea what kind of items may be available for bid?
Absolutely. We have some trips. We have great experience, Blackstone barbecue. We have some Blue Jays tickets, some Leafs tickets. So there's something for everybody that's appealing, and obviously those funds go right back into the work that we're doing.
This comes up on April the 18th, as you already told us as well, Sarah. How do we get tickets? Where do we go so we can be a part of this?
Tickets are available on our website at lessardandinnisfree.com. Tickets are $125, and that gives you your gaming chips, a cocktail, and wonderful nibblies, and a wonderful night out of supporting a good cause and just having fun and doing something different.
Yeah, I like the different aspect of this too, because there are lots of fundraisers out there, lots of organizations looking for different ways to do it. And I haven't heard of one like this in quite some time. So I think it's an excellent idea. And I really appreciate you making time for the show this morning to tell us about it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Sarah Ainsworth is the Fund Development Coordinator with Lessard and Innisfree Hospice. It's a Hold'em for Hospice Casino Night coming up on April the 18th. That is 3 Saturdays from this coming Saturday. 6 until 10 at the Doubletree Hotel in Kitchener. You can visit lassardandinnisfree.com to get your tickets, which are $125. And you heard Sarah detail what that ticket entails. It gets you your gaming chips. It gets you your cocktail. It gets you access to those nibblies. And of course, you can be there having a good time, have some fun, bid on some of those auction items, and all of the money will support the services provided through Lassard and Innisfree Hospice. It's coming up on 11:30. I'm going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. And then I came across this list. It was teachers saying the quiet parts out loud. They cannot believe that some of their students cannot do this thing or that thing or the other thing for themselves anymore. There's been a noticeable decline in what students can do for themselves. I'm not going to dwell on what these kids today cannot do, but what I would like to know, and the stories that we will share, is something that you could not do when you were a kid and you still haven't figured out how to do it. You've just given up. Even as an adult, you still can't do that thing that you also couldn't do when you were a kid. Let's play along on the flip side. Coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. Okay, we are not going to just rag on those kids today. We're not going to make this about that, tempting as it may be. Those darn kids, we're all doomed with this future. Not necessarily, I would say. Have I talked about? I haven't. I should spend more time talking about these lovely young people I've gotten to know over the last many weeks of attending some physiotherapy sessions for my poor aching shoulder, which is aching far less today than it was 3 weeks ago when I started. But it's quite inspiring to learn from these youngins that are working in this clinic, many of whom are graduates from the University of Waterloo, some from McMaster, others from Western. The one fellow that helped me out yesterday towards the end of my session was had finished his undergrad at Western and is ready to head to his postgrad in London, UK. So he says, I'm going from London, Ontario to London, UK for my degree. I'm like, yeah, you're going to like London, UK a little bit more. Anyway, some great, inspiring young people. They fill me with hope for our future. But I couldn't resist when I came across this list of teachers saying the quiet parts out loud and complaining about some of the things that their students are unable to do for themselves. But rather than pick on the kids, we're going to turn this around and find out what parts of our childhood remain with us even in our older years. So among the things that some kids are unable to do, and they are frustrating teachers by their inability to do it, and I don't think much of this will surprise you. I teach kindergarten, junior kindergarten, one teacher says. These are 3 and 4-year-olds, and most of our kids cannot put on a jacket at all. They won't even try. They start throwing tantrums before even attempting, saying that they can't do it and it's too hard. So they can't put on or won't put on their own jacket. How about reading an old face clock instead of a digital display, right? The hands on the clock. I had a Mickey Mouse watch when I was a kid. Those were a big deal. Remember those? And then the swatches. Remember the swatches? Anyway, the majority of students struggle to read a clock unless it's digital. Not surprised by that at all. This one surprised me a little bit. The number of second and third graders who are still unable to tie their own shoes. And this one doesn't surprise me one bit. Spelling. Spelling is absolutely atrocious because in most instances, the students are relying on whatever device it is they are typing into as opposed to printing or writing anything. And so the printing or the spelling is taken care of by the device for the most part with spell check, right? So if you ask them to spell it out themselves, that's a much more difficult task. And then the simple mathematics, the multiplication tables, kids continue to struggle with. We used to stand up in class and recite the times tables. 1 times 1 is 1. I can still see myself standing in Sister Helene's class in grade 4 at St. Anne's Elementary School, standing up at the side of my desk, and we would do this as a class. I can only imagine what that sounded like outside the classroom, right? Some kind of cult-like chant. Anyway, among the things that kids are struggling with and teachers are admitting they're having trouble with this, putting on jackets, reading a clock if it's not digital, tying their own shoes, spelling, and math. That's probably not too uncommon from when we were kids too, right? Especially the spelling and math part. So again, instead of blaming the kids and bitching and moaning about how we're all doomed to a future of dum-dums, let's turn this around and let's think about the things that we couldn't do as kids or at some point in our life and we just haven't bothered learning to master to this day. What is it that you couldn't do as your younger self that you still cannot do today? 519-570-2545, star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. I will start because, of course, that's how we get things moving here. Caring is sharing. Sharing is caring. I'll share mine and then you can share yours. And this will not come as a surprise to you. I cannot, still not, have never been able to touch my toes. You remember it was the beginning of 2025, January of 2025. I posted a video of my tubby self on our Facebook page and said, I am committing to working on stretching every day until I get to the point where I can actually touch my toes. Never got there. I did try. I did work on it for a little while. Got up earlier in the morning, did a little bit of stretching and whatnot. It never took. So probably when I was an infant, toddler, I could probably put my foot in my mouth, do all kinds of things. You're so limber and whatever. But when it came time, we used to do that participation or whatever it was called, the Canada Health, what that stuff. We have to do these different things all around the gym. We had to run around the block of the school, participation. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I used to have to do that. And I'm sure touching toes came up in that somewhere. I never, ever have been able to touch my toes. I was mentioning a moment ago, standing up at the side of my desk in my grade 4 class at St. Anne's Elementary in Kitchener and reciting the times tables. I remember my grade 3 class. I remember when Mrs. Sims, she came by my desk and I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. She was just talking about whatever, but I still remember her saying as she passed by my desk, we're going to teach some of you how to hold your pencil. I'm like, what do you mean how to hold it? And I hold my pen in a very strange way. I can't even describe how I do it, but it's not a typical way of doing it. And for me, it's what worked. And I don't think my penmanship is all that bad, but I do know that the way that I do hold my pen makes my hand tired very quickly. The longer I spend trying to write something, the more tired I get. And my hand will wear out before yours because of the way I do it. I kind of wrap my thumb around my index finger and my middle finger when I'm writing, as opposed to having, most people when they hold a pen or a pencil. Does anybody still do this? You still hold a pen or a pencil, right? You still actually write things down. And all of your digits, thumb and fingers, remain on the pen itself, right? My thumb wraps around over top of my index finger and touches my middle finger, which is what leads to the fatigue. But I remember Mrs. Sims saying, we're going to teach some of you how to hold your pencils properly. I'm like, what do you mean I'm holding it improperly? This is how I hold it. And I tried doing it differently, but it wasn't comfortable. I gave up, and I've stuck with this. I think they call it the right-handed hook. So I've never been able to touch my toes. Couldn't do it as a kid, can't do it as an adult. I hold my pen improperly, but hey, it works for me. So I couldn't do that as a kid, apparently, according to Mrs. Sims in grade 3. I'm still not doing it today. I wonder how she would feel about this if she knew. And you know what? I'll throw one more in here because I remember going to these like region-wide competitions. I think, was it square dancing we would do? I think it was. And we would practice. And then we went out to, I can't remember which big auditorium or gymnasium, whatever it was. We would go to some central place in the region somewhere and have these like square dancing competitions, school versus school. And I remember doing it to the Oak Ridge Boys song Elvira. That's what we would square dance to. I think it was square dancing. Forgive me because I still have 2 left feet. If I even could, I wasn't doing the dance by rhythm. I was trying to do the dance from memory. Where do I have to move my foot next? I never really got into the flow of the music. I was just trying to memorize the steps so I could take them at the right time. 3 things I could not do as a kid that I still cannot do as an adult. I can't touch my toes. I hold my pen improperly. I've still got 2 left feet. I cannot, for the life of me, dance. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Teachers have admitted they have encountered students today who can't tie their own shoes. They can't or won't put on their own jacket. They can't read a clock unless it's a digital display. Not surprising, I think, but we're not going to pick on the kids. We're going to talk about what we couldn't do as kids that we still can't do today. My coworker was telling me about her spouse who still cannot, to this day, swallow a pill. If he has to take a med of any kind, they still have to mix it in yogurt or something like that so that he is able to swallow the pill. That's a bizarre one to me. How can you not just pop it in your mouth, take a swallow of water, and it's gone? That's how we give our dog medication, just mostly because we're trying to trick her, right? She's so fussy that she'd sniff it and say, no, I'm not eating that. So you put it inside her food, boom, it's gone. So he, as an adult, still cannot swallow a pill. What about you? What could you not do as a kid that you still cannot do today? I'll go to the phones. Lisa, good morning.
Well, first of all, I'm going to take one of the things off your list. There's nothing wrong with the way you write because I write exactly the same way.
Okay, but we are doing it wrong, right? Apparently?
I don't think it's wrong. I mean, I can write like that, so...
Okay, yeah, see, we are accomplishing the task, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't think there's... I'm just so used to it now. I never would have thought it was wrong. One of the things that I never could do, and actually don't really want to do anymore, is run. So... I've taken that right off my to-do list. I walk. I try to get enough exercise, but running was never, I could never do that when we had to run the track, and that never changed. So I'm comfortable with my non-running self.
It's overrated anyway, right?
That's right. Walking's better for you.
Lisa, appreciate it. Good to hear from you today.
Okay, take care.
It's funny. So I envy, by the way, all of you runners. I really do. You impress me. So just please know that when you are out for a run, no matter how you might feel about yourself in that moment, you impress the ever-loving heck out of me. You really do. When Rosie and I were out for our walk yesterday, and I'm with Lisa, forget about it when it comes to running. Never could, sort of did for a while, not doing it again. But it was around school time, letting out, and there were a bunch of kids. They were just like a big group of them walking home together, and a few of them started kibitzing, and running was part of the kibitzing, in and around, out into the street and back onto the sidewalk. And I'm like, I wonder what that's like. I forget what that's like, just to be able to go from a walk into a full sprint at the blink of an eye. Like, I would pull a hamstring if I tried that now, right? And I couldn't move that fast, and he's not going to feel any pain the next day. And I just going through in my mind at my age what that would feel like. But I did take up running for a moment of my life. When I turned 30, I decided, you know what I need to do? I need to run a marathon. So I committed to it, and it took me a heck of a long time with a setback because of my bum knee to actually get ready for, train properly for the marathon, and then do it. And I can tell you, and I would go out, I would legit go out on like 20-kilometer training runs on weekends. I'd be running 5 kilometers easily, 10 to 15-kilometer training runs daily through the week, and then weekends do those 20 to 30-kilometer runs just to get ready for the marathon, which is 42 kilometers if you're keeping score at home. And I finished that marathon, and I don't think I've run 42 kilometers combined since. I'll walk till the cows come home. But running, I am with you, Lisa. So we will continue writing the way that we write because it works for us, even though my grade 3 teacher told me I was holding my pen wrong. And I can't touch my toes either. And that's okay. I couldn't do it as a kid. I can't do it as an adult. My coworker's husband cannot swallow a pill. As an adult, couldn't do it as a kid either. What was it that you couldn't do as a kid that you still cannot or are not doing as an adult? We'll take more of your calls on the flip side. Coming up, it's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. It's that thing you couldn't do when you were younger that you still can't do, or maybe just won't do today. Lisa and I have given up on holding our pens, quote unquote, correctly. We can write. You can read what we put down. Don't tell me I'm not holding my pencil correctly, Mrs. Sims, as you did when I was in grade 3. I also can't touch my toes. My coworker's husband can't swallow a pill. Lisa says, running. I've given up on running. I was such a poor runner. When we used to do those track and field days back at school when we were kids, I chose the 80 meter because it was the shortest distance, not thinking, of course, that it's a sprint and the idea is to go as fast as you can. I'm not fast. I never have been. These little legs, never, ever have I ever been fast. And so the 80 meter dash starts, and all of my friends who could run sprinted away, and there was tubby little Farwell bringing up the rear. I made that mistake only once. Let's get back to the phones. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
So what was it that you couldn't do when you were younger that you still can't do today?
Well, I'll tell you that right now, and that is I could never whistle, like a hands-free whistle, the really loud whistle, like when you're cheering or something.
Yeah. Interesting.
Can't do it, never could do it. And I wanted to also say this is exciting for me because it's the first time I've ever called, and I listen to you all the time. And I think, is it okay if I don't call all the time that I still have a Farwell Force number?
Absolutely, Bill. All you have to do is listen for 15 minutes every day. Sounds like you're doing that.
I am doing that, absolutely.
I would love to add you to the list at number 361. What do you say?
That's my favorite number.
Now, Bill, believe it or not, I just added another Bill earlier this morning. So I need the first letter of your last name, please, sir.
H.
Bill H. You are now an official member of Farwell's Force.
Sweet. That is so great. 361 Bill H. from Cambridge. And by the way, you were mentioning that the teachers say the kids can't tell time with a regular watch or a clock.
Yeah.
And it made me think of the dad joke that my favorite time of the day is 6:30, hands down.
I love it. That is a dad joke for the ages. I appreciate it, Bill.
Thanks for your time, Mike. It's a real pleasure, and I'll keep listening.
Pleasure's all mine. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your day.
Okie doke, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Look at that. A couple of bills today. If they were actually like the bills that I could put in my pocket, though, I could use this Farwell's Force for the good of my wallet. But no. Bill H. joins Bill P., who called earlier today, wanting to join our growing force for good, force for change, force to be reckoned with. You absolutely don't have to be a caller or an emailer. I love it if and when you are, but you don't have to be. If you listen to the show for 15 minutes every day, gosh darn it and ding dang it, we will put you on that list of our growing force. Mary said earlier today, could you imagine if it got up to 1,000? No, Mary, I could not. Whistling is something that Bill, a task or a skill he could never master. I can't do it either if I try to put my fingers to the side of my mouth, like the really loud whistling that, as Bill says, you hear at sporting events. I can whistle. if you're a certain age, you probably recognize the beginning of that song. I don't know how well that translated over the air. I can whistle reasonably well, I think. Grant, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Pills. If it's a capsule, I have to open it up and put it on a spoon. And
Really? Why is that, Grant?
I know, I'm afraid that it'll get
Stuck in your throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mental block. I get it.
And I miss Mom when she used to crush them up and put applesauce. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course. See, it's because you were a spoiled kid, Grant. Of all the ways that my mother spoiled me, I'm not sure there was ever a time I had my medications crushed and put into applesauce. She'd probably remember and say, Michael, yes, I did. I don't know. I've never had trouble taking a pill. I have had trouble touching my toes. I have had trouble holding a pen. And I still have trouble. Was it square dancing? I want to say it was square dancing we used to do to the Oak Ridge Boys music, and went to some regional square dancing, school square dancing competition. I have no idea. I just wanted to get through it without tripping over my own 2 feet. I wish one of the skills they still taught young people is how to read a map. I know that we have a GPS that can tell us how to get places, but we don't really know where we are. We're just going where the phone tells us to go. Drives me nuts. An update from the 570 News Center, and then let's talk. It's the Talkback Hour, coming up with open phone lines for your reflections on the day's events or something else you want to make us aware of. Next hour is for you on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
It is your daily opportunity to talk back at us. You know, when you were a kid, don't you talk back to me. Well, guess what? We encourage you to do that on this show every day from noon until 1. Maybe you've got a reflection on an issue we've talked about already. Maybe you want to bring something brand new to the conversation. We are here for it. Let's hear what's on your mind today. Talkback begins at 519-570-2545, star 570, 1-800-570-5715. Frank, you start us off today. Good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
All right. Well, since it's Take a Number Day, could I have a number, please?
Absolutely, you can, Frank. I would be more than happy to give you number 362, unless you're looking for something specific. Yeah. You want 362 is good?
Well, I was going to say 365, just because if I could, I'd listen to your show 365 days. As you know, I'm an over-the-road truck driver. Right now, it's -10 in Moosomin, Saskatchewan, and by tomorrow night, I'll be in Abbotsford, BC, via Edmonton. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about quickly was that caught me by surprise was your segment with the industry and Lessard houses.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
They had a very worthwhile fundraiser. I got a story to tell you there. One of the current residents in Innisfree, I scooted over to Tim Hortons down at the end of Homer Watson and came in and gave him a little bit of a treat. And he gave me a grand tour of that place. And Mike, it's just outstanding what they do there. They have a qualified chef, and the people that serve and the people that welcome, it's just like it really is a home. So fortunate that he was able to get in there, and they by going through what they're going through. Yeah. Thanks for what all you do. And really, because I'm not in the community very often, it always connects me to home no matter where I am in Canada. I tell you, that's worth that's worth the price of admission right there. And just as a side note on the on those fitness awards, I think you and I are about the same age, Mike, in our 50s. But back in the day, they used to be called the Canada Fitness Awards, where we did the sit-ups and the flexed arm hang and the sit-ups. I can't do sit-ups anymore because of a disease that basically I needed several operations for. I had an excellence medal and also the silver one. And then until my health started to decline, basically afflicted with this Crohn's disease until my mid-40s. I feel much, much better now, but I still can't do the sit-ups. Imagine that. But
overrated,
anyway,
Frank. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it is.
Before I let you go, I know I have another Frank on the list already. So what's the first letter of your last name? M.
M.
As in Mike. All right. Frank, keep the rubber side down out there, buddy. Thanks for what you do.
You got her. Yep.
Great to hear from you. But does that not paint a picture? Listening while driving the prairie roads of Saskatchewan, -10, headed out to Abbotsford, British Columbia, where he will arrive tomorrow, on the road, and takes us with him because it's like keeping a piece of home with him in the cab of that rig. Love to hear it. Frank, you are Farwell's Force member number 365 because you listen 365 days a year. Bless your heart, buddy. Bless your heart. Next up, Farwell's Force member number 12, Jersey Bill. Good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about something a little different. I'm a good customer of Rogers and very happy with the service you provide. But one thing that struck me in the sort of the commercials that run on your show, the one about the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're still talking about how they're having such a great season, and you never know what's going to happen on the ice and all of that. I must think that you probably turn it off when it comes on because it must be a little cringy in terms of how they're performing this year. And the other one, of course, is now they're talking about the Blue Jays, and they say, well, all that good Canadian lumber, when in fact there are no actual Canadian players on the Blue Jays. The one possible exception might have been Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who was born in Montreal, but chooses in a national kind of way to identify more with the Dominican Republic than with Canada, whose team has given him a 14-year contract. Whereas the Canadian team was full of a lot of Major League players who play for American teams. I wonder why the Blue Jays can't develop some Canadian player from going from St. John's all the way to Victoria, British Columbia, in their farm system, or maybe trade for one of these very good players that play for the American teams, just to give them a little bit of Canadian content on the team.
All right, Billy, I appreciate the call and the thought. Interesting perspective. One of my favorite things about the new Blue Jays commercial I've been hearing is that the highlights match the words in the commercial. Do you remember last year we kind of joked about that, where you'd be talking about for every big hit, and then it was an audio clip of play-by-play of a great defensive play or something like that, and they didn't match, and we're like, what's going on with this commercial? So anyway, I'm glad you're appreciating the commercials as they are today, even though the Blue Jays one, or the Leafs one, talks about all the heart in that team and all the excitement, and there's next to none at this point of the season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. By the way, if you ever want to get some inside baseball, not to further the baseball language there, but hey, we'll talk about what goes on at the radio station anytime. I'm happy to answer questions about that stuff. If you're ever curious about anything, I got nothing to hide over here. Andre is next on Talkback. Hello, Andre.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon, Andre.
Boy, so interesting. It's incredible.
What's interesting? The show in general?
Yeah, not you.
Oh, no, I know. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you found it interesting today.
No, not today. Just so much to say, but I can't. So I'm going to go quick with my basketball here. First of all, normally when I do my chores, I got so many AI in the house to listen to you to keep my chores going, like one of your shows. What do you do when you listen to you? But today, Mike, again, I said it last week. I like the retirement Chuck Norris. Gary Chuck.
Gary
right?
Chalk, living retired, yes.
I was wondering if he was wearing actually Chuck Norris boxers or socks, but I'm a Morris too. I got lost to catch on him, but yeah, it was fantastic. I couldn't even move from the counter, and just my ear to the Google, and just I couldn't move. That's how I was paying attention to him, not because he was in his gown at the MRI, but it was awesome. And the other thing, Mike, is you were talking about the big event at the bus terminal, and I went to bed a little late last night, and I was dreaming about hopefully that this Farsi bar can happen. Big plans in the area, and I would like to see like a 15 minutes every day of you being a comedian, like Grant says. You're a funny guy, and that's your dream.
Wait, what's my dream is not to be a stand-up comedian. Settle down.
I think so.
No.
No? Okay.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown. I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you. What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
How am I funny, Andre?
Okay. The other thing, too, Mike, is you should play. There you go. See, you're laughing at yourself. The other thing is, the record that you have of the Moose, Mike? Can you play it more often?
Which one?
Don't worry about it.
That one?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I will play Don't Worry About It more often, just for you, Andre. All over the map. Gary Chalk joins us Thursday mornings, 10:30, for Living Retired. That's Gary's humor column that he brings to our show for Living Retired on the radio. And we have a few laughs every Thursday morning, 10:30. Joe is with us next on Talkback. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Mike. Just a couple of things. Your situation with the kids, that's sort of a combination of like technology and absentee parenting. You should be able to read a clock, for God's sakes, and be able to do some form of cursive writing. The other point I had was who's steering the ship with the Leafs? Holy cow! How about too little and way too late? You win a couple of games, and now you're out of the mix for your number one pick that you're going to hand over to your arch rival Boston. Like, who's running the ship, Mike? Well, sit some guys if you have to. You need to lose those games so you get your number one pick. Nobody seems to care. There's no urgency in the Leafs management. Do you find that just a bit odd, or what?
I really, Joe, I haven't been paying attention. But you can't really expect guys to not go out there and try to win games, can you?
Well, sit them down then.
Well, why would you do that?
So you get your first, your number one overall pick, your first round pick.
No, I'm not. I
over to the Boston Bruins.
I can't subscribe to the idea of tanking, Joe. I'm sorry, I can't.
Oh my God. Okay, well, let's just hand the Bruins our number one pick, who could be a generational star. Who knows, right? All right, Mike, that's all I got. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. I love the passion. I really do. I love the passion for the Leafs. And all I will say again is thank you, Kitchener Rangers. I am so glad I have you this year because I gave up on the Leafs about a month ago. I haven't given up on them permanently. I'm a fan still. Like they're still my team, but I got better things to do than watch them lose games or win and frustrate people even when they win. Isn't that is such a Leafs thing, eh? Like you're annoying your fans even when you win now. If that doesn't say Toronto Maple Leafs, I don't know what does. Francis is next with us on Talkback. Farwell's Force, member number 36. Good afternoon, Francis.
Good afternoon, Mike. I want to say I had a complete meltdown this past week. We've been having a lot of trouble with the car battery for the last couple of months. Had an appointment made to have it changed, and I couldn't get it to the place because it was freezing rain on Friday, so we had it set up to go this Tuesday. Get in the car, ready to go, and it wouldn't start. And I'm supposed to be if I could say the name, Canadian Tire here in Listowel. And I told them what the problem was. I had a couple big trucks trying to get us started with booster cables, and they said, don't worry about it, we'll come over. Well, they come over in this little car, and I thought, oh, my God, what are you going to do with that thing? They had a special booster pack. They put it on the battery, bang, and right away it went. And they got me over to Canadian Tire there, and within an hour's time, they had a brand-new battery put in. So I got to say, I'm not always great with Canadian Tire, but I sure got to say kudos to them because they were great. God bless.
Thank you, Francis. I'm glad that the Canadian Tire in Listy met your needs when the battery in the car was failing. And now Francis is back up and running. There you go. I thought they used only horse and buggy in Listowel. It's your Talkback Hour on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio. Every day between noon and 1, we open our phone lines, giving you the chance to talk back on the show. Maybe it's something we talked about earlier, you didn't get a chance to have your say, or something else completely different or brand new you'd like to bring to the conversation. We are here for it. Right back to the phones we go. Dan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for calling in.
I listen all the time. I don't often call in, but I just wanted to call in and talk about the Jays, if that's okay with you.
Sure as heck is. Let's go.
I just feel like it's excellent timing with the way the Leafs have performed this season. It's nice to look forward to something else. I love the Leafs. You know, don't get me wrong, but it's been an overly disappointing season. I'm 60, so I've seen a lot of them. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Jays tomorrow, and I hope it goes well.
So you're a little bit like me, Dan. You wouldn't have been – I'm 55 this year, so I completely missed 1967. You would have been a year old. You likely don't remember that last Stanley Cup at all.
No, but I lived in that household. So, yeah, it was I have fond memories of them doing well, but I didn't see it.
True, yeah. And the late 70s, we had a pretty nice run there. It was the Islanders that finally took us out, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what a team they had. And we had, my era obviously was Wendell Clark.
For sure, mine too.
Right? And it was just, I enjoyed that probably more than any other era, and obviously because of my age. But just you look at a guy like Wendell Clark, he did it all. You don't see that anymore.
So true. So true. He was the first overall pick that really resurrected our franchise for a little bit, and you're absolutely right. The guy that literally did it all out there.
Oh, that's why his career was so short. But I won't keep you any longer. I love the show, and keep it up.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate that. It's very kind of you to say. And I'm with you, brother. I mean, what better time for the Blue Jays to get their season started than right now when we are all just suffering. And it is suffering. We have been long suffering as Leafs fans. But now the Blue Jays will be here to take our minds off of things. A reminder on that front that Ian Hunter, the one and only Blue Jay Hunter, joins us every Wednesday morning, 11 o'clock, to talk Blue Jays baseball. So Ian was here for his debut yesterday for the new season, because that season opens tomorrow night as the Blue Jays open their 2026 season against the Athletics. And the big thing, of course, for the Jays this time around is they are coming into the season for the first time in as long as I can remember with expectations on their shoulders, aren't they? That run to the World Series last year, as unexpected as it was. Remember, in and around mid-June last year, we were talking about, oh boy, this Blue Jay season not going the way that we thought it would go, and this, that, the other thing. And then the next thing you know, we had that nice long winning streak, and things just all came together, and it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. And the Jays are returning basically the same team. I'm a little bit worried about the starting pitching and the injuries within that roster as we get the season underway, but we'll see. 162 games. It's a long time to get players healthy, get things sorted out. Vladdy was terrific in the playoffs last year. He was terrific at the World Baseball Classic. I think there's a lot of reasons for optimism. And yes, then we can put in the rearview mirror our Blue Jays and all of the woes that they have presented us in the last little bit. You know, Andre got me thinking a moment ago when he said he wants to hear Moose, that clip of Moose played more often on the show.
Don't worry about it.
That is the bus driver for the Kitchener Rangers, Mike the Moose Reeves. And that is his famous saying.
Don't worry about it.
Tells me that every time. Every time I'm concerned about something or I'm giving him a hard time, don't worry about it, he says. And it reminds me that we have all of these little clips. When producer Paulie was here, he was very good at working them into the show more than I am. But do you remember this one?
Dumbass.
Comes from Shawshank Redemption, right? Alexander Dumas, but I forget the man's name that was trying to read the name of the author of the book, but he came out with
Dumbass.
One of my absolute favorites. I also like this one a lot.
I'm president and you're not. I'm president and you're not.
I think that was from the first time that Donald Trump was president. And then, of course, as he was running the second time.
I didn't have sex with a porn star.
Okay, as long as you are sure about that, Mr. President. But one of my all-time favorites, and it's worth because his name has been invoked lately. Let's just, you know what? I'm going to have to wait for Hamilton Beer Store guy because I won't have time until after the 12:30 update, which is coming up. But we had a lot of fun with these things. And I should make sure that I play them more often.
Bueller.
Because they spice up the show just a little bit. And you do the same thing during our Talkback Hour where you get the chance to start the conversation. Whatever it is that's on your mind, if it's a reflection on something we talked about already today or something brand new you want to bring to the table, we open our phone lines noon to 1 every day to hear from you on the Talkback Hour. 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715.
You go to the box, you feel shame.
No, you just make a call. We'll have a chat. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio. It is still your Talkback Hour, but I regret to inform you, our cell phone line is dysfunctional. So if you try star 570, it's not going to work. I'm sorry about that. However, the other two lines, or the other two numbers, are open to you. 519-570-2545 and 1-800-570-5715. But if you've been trying star 570 and not getting through, my apologies for your frustration. It's not working. 519-570-2545 and 1-800-570-5715. Dan is with us on Talkback. Dan, are you back again? Didn't we just talk?
Yeah, we did. I just realized I have too much time on my hands. I've been on hold for a few minutes there, which is fine. But, I just wanted to call back, Mike, if it's all right. And I wanted to become part of the Farwell Force for Good, if that's possible.
Are you kidding me? Well, do you listen for 15 minutes every day, Dan?
Well, I have to admit it's much more than that, but yeah.
Listen, you don't admit that like it's a bad thing, Dan. Come on with your coming on. It's a good thing to listen for more than 15.
My friends and my girlfriend make fun of me because I listen to talk radio, so I don't know.
You're a smart man as far as I'm concerned, and I would be more than happy to put your name onto our Farwell Force for Good. How's number 362 strike you, Dan?
I hate to be this guy.
Go ahead, be that guy.
I'd like 44 or 66 if it's possible. If not, a number with that in it would be great.
So 366, how's that?
344 would be better.
344 is already gone. How about, let me see, I've got to check ahead here. And
366 is fine, Mike.
Okay, 366. Even 444 is gone already. I got a lot of randos out there, Dan. I don't know what the deal is. Okay.
I'm another one, I guess.
Yeah, you are. Okay, first letter of your last name, sir.
M as in Macintosh.
All right, Dan M as in Macintosh. You are Farwell's Force member number 366. Welcome aboard.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. I appreciate you. We are a force for good. We are a force for change. We are a force to be reckoned with, and we are a growing force. Number 366 just added. Back to the phones on Talkback. Dylan, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Mike. I just wanted to call in, talk about a very frustrating incident from last night. I really like the Ion. I think it's doing great things for the region. You just drive along the Ion, you see the buildings that have went up, the buildings that are going up. It's an economic driver for sure. The businesses along the Ion put up with a lot during its construction. Now that the Ion's there, the streets are much more narrow. So you can imagine car travel is tougher along that route. Why in the heck are there city buses running the length of King Street? You cannot get around them. They stop about every 35 feet at a bus stop. And the Ion tracks are 5 feet from where the bus is. What's going on?
Well, Dylan, it's a great question. I've felt that same frustration, and it's the main reason I stay off King from Victoria down to Union, because you get stuck there and you're doomed. You see, the thing is that the Ion only runs so many places. Those buses will probably make a turn at some point and take people other places. So
can we not schedule the buses to run the cross streets? Like, I understand people are getting off a bus and onto the Ion. I get that we got to make public transit, a priority to a certain extent, but people still got to be able to drive around the city. Like, how do the ambulances make it to the hospital before people die? Like, it is ridiculous.
No, you know what? Listen, I appreciate the call and the expression of frustration, because you're not wrong. And I'm with you too on, like, sometimes I still catch myself looking at the Ion and I'm thinking, wow, we've got like high order transit in my little hometown. Like, it's pretty neat. It's kind of cool. And it has brought significant benefit. But let's not kid ourselves. And Dylan is on to one of the frustrations. And naturally, like, if you're thinking about that main stretch of King that I mentioned, it's very difficult if you get stuck behind a bus. Anywhere from King and Victoria to King and Union, you're stuck in there. So I would use a different, what I have done and learned to do is take a different route. When I'm going to one of those businesses on King, I will come at it from Wellington Street, or even off Shanley, which I think turns into Andrew just before you get to King, right there at the Timmy's. I mean, lots of different ways to skin that particular cat, if you will. I don't think I'm supposed to say that anymore. I'm sorry. But anyway, lots of different ways to go about it. And the challenge, of course, for the buses is that they can't be on some of those smaller side streets just because those side streets are too small and too narrow for buses. So this is what we end up getting stuck with. But I hear you. I sense your frustration. And oh, yeah, by the way, since you mentioned ambulances and how do they manage this, and I'm sure they've figured out their ways. But I'll tell you what, on the weekend, my beloved and I were out in the part of Waterloo where the new hospital is going to be built. And again, I'm not trying to be unkind to any of those who helped make the final decision. But we talked about it at the time when the decision for the location was made. And we are so landlocked out there. Like, how are you? I don't even want to. I think we should have gone closer to the expressway. Try getting, if it's an emergency and you're going to that hospital out there in Waterloo, it's a long ride, baby. I hope it's not your last. I'll just leave that right there. Back to the phones. Kyle, good afternoon. You're on Talkback.
Oh, you Toronto Maple Leafs fans, I tell you guys.
I know, we're pretty, it's kind of sad, isn't it?
You know why you guys are having all these issues? It goes back to the days of Harold Ballard.
Is it Harold Ballard's ghost?
It is. I think that's what it is. Like, he's haunting you guys so much that he's never going to let you guys win a championship. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but he's forever there. I don't know what else you guys want. You guys have to start from everywhere. If you guys really want to go far, I say you have to just rebuild the whole team. Everybody. You get rid of the top people, you get rid of the middle people, you get rid of all the players, you get rid of everybody, and you start from scratch, because if you don't do that, there's never going to be change. I mean, I you know me, I cheer for the other team, but you guys are one of the biggest rivals that we have, and we like playing you guys, and yes, of course, is it fun? Of course it is. But I just don't understand how you guys have such big issues in the whole league. Like, I don't understand, like, what you guys bring in Matthews. He was a first-round pick. He's supposed to be this whole thing where he's supposed to change the team and all that stuff. And now look at him. He doesn't even want to follow the media. Nylander, I don't even know if he understands that there's a hockey game going on anymore. He shows up half the time. I think he's just twiddling on his phone. So I don't understand. I mean, you guys get all excited about these first-round picks and stuff, but is that really going to change the Toronto Maple Leafs? I don't think so, my friend. I think you guys really have to get rid of everybody, start fresh, and bring in people that don't even know hockey. Bring in somebody that watches baseball. I mean, look how good the Jays are. Maybe bring in one of those guys and rebuild the team from there, because they could obviously go to the World Series final. So I don't know, Mike. I look at you guys and I shake my head and I listen to podcasts about it and I hear other podcasts and the fans going on, and I have to call in sometimes because I feel like, you guys it's getting you guys mentally, and I got to check up on you guys and make sure you guys are okay. So I just want to say that, but I think you guys are haunted. I think that's what it is. Maybe you guys have to just move the team to Kitchener or something, not Kitchener, keep the Rangers, but, maybe bring the team to Chatham or something like that, right? But I don't know, man. I feel bad for you guys. I think it's Harold Bauer there. I think he's the one that's really holding you guys back, and sorry to say, man, but you guys are out of luck, my friend. So that's all I got to say. Have a good day. Thanks, Mike.
All right, Kyle. You go ahead and keep rubbing salt in the wounds. That's fine. You be that way, you fan of the team that shall not be named you. How about instead of bringing the team to Kitchener, we just send Mike McKenzie, the general manager from Kitchener, to Toronto to fix things? Would that work? We want to keep Mike McKenzie here as general manager anyway. But listen, the team has been stripped down, rebuilt, redone how many times since Harold Ballard was the owner? And we've tried drafting the different kinds of players, right? Remember when, what's his face? Brian Burke, the guy that never tied his tie. Like, you know how much that drove me nuts? Like, I don't care if you don't wear a tie. I mean, I kind of care if you don't wear a tie, but whatever. You don't want to wear a tie? Don't just drape the thing around your neck. Anyway, that drove me nuts. But he was getting players with truculence. Remember that era? So you can talk about Nylander and whatever, not caring about the game. Truculence didn't work. Steve Stavros didn't work as an owner. We now, the royal we, the parent company of this radio station, Rogers Sports and Media, now the majority shareholder of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I have great faith in this company to at least extract maximum value from this hockey club. So let's go. I don't know what to say. If you're a Leafs fan, just, if you believe in prayer, get down on your knees and keep praying, because otherwise we might not see a Stanley Cup in our lifetime. I'm honestly starting to think that might happen. Could you imagine? Born in 1971 was I, and I could go through the entirety of my existence on this planet without ever seeing the Leafs hoist the Stanley Cup. I'm honestly starting to think that might be true. It hurts. JB, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Hey, Farwell.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Oh, hanging in,
Good, man.
Doing what we can. I wanted to call out a little bit the caller before Kyle, who was complaining about the buses and the trains and whatnot.
Sure.
Clearly, his perspective is from somebody who has never had to take the bus before, or doesn't take the bus or anything like that. The LRT exists. And they clearly had, and I'm a transit rider, I'll say that. Clearly the LRT was built with the intent, and the route was created with the intent of development, because if you ride that train, there are lots of spots where there is still trees and flat land, and I'm just sitting there going, it's only a matter of time before a condo goes up on this spot here. So it's very clear that that's what it was. But in creating that route, which once you're uptown, goes through the park, goes through the university, goes up to the Northfield and all that, you completely neglect King Street. And that is a massive corridor all the way to Conestoga Mall. And there's the number 7 bus is the one that runs down King, and people still need to use it. And guess what? That bus is still cram-packed full of people. So you can complain all you want, but it is still necessary and is still needed for people to get through the core.
JB, appreciate the call, and you're not wrong. And as Dylan said at the outset, he likes what the LRT has brought to the community. He supports the higher order transit. So yes, he was absolutely expressing his frustration through the eyes of a driver. And that central transit corridor you're talking about, I mean, this goes back decades in our local planning. So yes, that corridor has been chosen with intent. Just a quick reminder on Talkback today, our star 570 line is not working. I'm sorry for that, but you can reach us at 519-570-2545 and 1-800-570-5715. More calls coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. Talkback Hour, 570 News Radio. Every day, noon until 1, we open the phone lines to hear from you on the Talkback Hour. Phil is with us. Good afternoon, Philip.
Hi, it's me, numero 81.
Farwell's Force member number 81. How do you like this? Like, you're 81. We just added 365 and 366 today, Phil.
Yeah, you should be on piecework.
I should be on piecework. That's a very good point. Hey, can you be my agent for the next contract negotiation?
Yeah, I can get you into trouble pretty fast.
Attaboy.
I'm phoning to instill some jocularity into your show.
It's not jocular enough for you?
Well, I heard earlier this week why you're not on Rogers TV.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder. I'm getting so many emails. I guess we can't get the word to the TV folks. So, yes, until the end of the OHL playoffs, my friend, we're radio only where I belong.
So are you taking advantage of this dress-down day opportunity for the next week or two?
No comment.
I'm thinking you're wearing like a sleeveless tank top, Daisy Duke shorts, and maybe some Birkenstocks unshaven.
Why do you have those visuals in your mind? Is what I'm really curious about.
Because I can't see and I got to fill in the blanks.
But why are those the blanks? Like, why is that the way you fill in the blanks, you freak?
Well, because you know me.
Yeah, I know exactly. Let's get to that, shall we?
Hey, and my Stratford Warriors eliminated the London Nationals in Junior B action last night.
Game 7.
And the kicker was about a day or two before that on their London TV station, they were basically saying that they wanted to take Stratford down in their own barn. Didn't happen. They didn't have the lead at all last night.
There you go. Now, you weren't really at the Allman Arena last night, were you?
Yes, I was. That's where it was.
Did they do something inside of that arena? Because that doesn't look like that did not look. You sent me a video. It did not look like the Allman Arena I remember from last time I was there.
Yeah. They've updated it and painted it and new LED lighting.
There we go. Okay, I guess I got to get myself back because yeah, it's a little too shiny for my liking though. The Allman should be a little bit grittier than that, shouldn't it?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you, Philip.
Okay, we'll
good.
See you tomorrow.
You bet. Good to hear from you. Way to go, you Stratford Warriors, knocking off that team from London. We always like it when that happens. George, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mike. I think Kyle might be onto something. Remember he said blow up the whole team, get rid of everyone, and bring a baseball guy on. I don't know if you remember the Blackhawks did that. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do not remember that.
Yeah, his name was John McDonough or something. He was a Cubs guy, Chicago Cubs. And they got him over, and that's what happened.
But did they win when they got him over? Oh, George gave up on me. I don't look. I'm not a Blackhawks guy, so I don't know. I know they went a long time without. I think were they the second longest because the Rangers won in '94, New York Rangers, so that ended their long drought. And I think it had gotten to 55 years or something like that for the Blackhawks, hadn't it? Anyway, whatever. Then they win 3 in relatively short order. I don't think it was the baseball guy, though, that did it. Anyway, I think George just wants the Leafs to keep losing. I would like the Leafs to win. Please? Like, what if I beg? Is there anything else I could do? What if we got every member of Farwell's Force to beg? Would that work, do you think? Grant, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon. Yeah.
I got 2 questions.
Okay, I've got 2 answers then, but only 2.
Yep.
Okay.
And how's it going with your finding a counselor? And I know you said a while back you were having a hard time finding one. No, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to find somebody. You want to make sure that that person is the right person. And as for your shoulder, how's that going? The physio and that stuff.
All right. Grant just wants an update on my physical and mental health. A couple of years ago, my gosh, it's coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the awful tragedy that we had to deal with as a family when we lost a child to suicide. I did not do well at all with the first person I was matched to as a counselor, and I gave up pretty darn quick. Let me tell you, it wasn't working, and I have not done anything since. Rightly, wrongly, I keep telling myself you get to do all these things at your own pace. As for my shoulder, I updated it earlier today. And I've been complaining and kvetching about that for some time. Having pinched a nerve, really bad pain, started physio 3 weeks ago, and I am seeing dramatic, and I do mean dramatic improvements. So that is going very well. Appreciate your concern, Grant. Thank you. When I got to the clinic yesterday, I ran into Betty, who knew that I was there for a bad shoulder because she heard me talk about it on the show. Betty just had her knee replaced. She looked great. She was doing all of her work at the physio clinic. It was great to meet her, and we're going to keep going to physio until we're all better. Betty has a way better excuse, though. She's got a bionic knee now. George, you left me before. Now you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mike. I got cut off. So what I was trying to say, this John McDonough, he came over from the Cubs. It was around that 2008, 2009, right before they went on to win 3 Cups.
Really? So it was the baseball guy that turned around the fortunes of the franchise.
Yeah, and at the time I thought that was really weird. What does this guy know about hockey, John McDonough? But apparently he's a really good manager, and they hired him, and it really worked out.
All right, George, listen, from your lips to our bosses here at Rogers' ears, get Shapiro and Atkins over to MLSE with the Leafs. Could they do both jobs? Could they have the dual portfolio? As long as we win some damn championships on the ice. I wouldn't mind one, though, on the field. Blue Jays open their season tomorrow. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. You know what? I got some Rangers tickets for the Game 1 versus Saginaw tomorrow night. I've got some Rangers tickets to give away on the show tomorrow. We'll do that and lots more when we get back together tomorrow morning at 9 right here. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a growing force for good. Bye for now.